Chapter 181 to 180, Immortals are the world. Chapter 181. Chapter 180, Immortals are the world. Bu Jing arrived at the main hall, sharing with the three mighty ones, Bu, the Bu family clan leader, and Bu Tian, the insights he'd gained overnight. He also circulated the Heaven and Earth Emanation Sutra. Bu, the Bu family clan leader, and Bu Tian listened, awestruck. To them, Bu Jing's approach to the external scenery realm was like a fairy tale, but after careful consideration, it seemed entirely practicable. Having read the Heaven and Earth Emanation Sutra, they were astounded. Even Bu didn't expect his brother's brilliance to produce such world-changing work. A martial artist doesn't rely on heaven, yet learns from it. The 720 acupoints correspond to the 720 constellations, intersecting with the universe. A good idea indeed, Zhongli nodded. So, is this the right path? An excited Bu Jing asked, all the lines on his face condensed into a frown. Zhongli couldn't affirm nor deny. We haven't practiced martial arts authentically. Whether it's right or wrong, you'll have to try and find out. Maybe you'll succeed, maybe you'll fail. Everything is uncertain, all is possible. Zhongli's viewpoint remained unchanged, only providing a perspective to Bu Jing without directly interfering with his martial arts progression. What a load of nonsense. Sooner or later, being the human emperor will make you forget how to talk like a normal person, Bai Hongtu complained to Yu Yin. Arguing that their lack of martial arts practice was indeed a problem seemed untenable for cultivators who'd crossed tribulation and those in the Mahayana realm. It was feasible. The external scenery realm was feasible. Though Bu Jing only had a general idea about the external scenery realm. Zhongli and his companions viewed it clearly. They not only comprehended the external scenery realm, but also theorized a probable method to reach transcendence through martial arts, becoming a martial immortal. Bu Jing's perspective was correct, viewing the human body as a universe with the Dantian as the core, expanding to its utmost, eventually reaching the state where the human body is like the world, is the state of a martial immortal. In a broad sense, martial arts is cultivation, and one can become immortal through martial arts. Cultivators who have achieved the body integration realm can traverse the universe, those in the tribulation crossing stage can manipulate stars at will and live for an eternity. Hence, those beyond the tribulation stage, the immortals, would naturally be more potent. In this world, only two existences can withstand the void, one is the world, and the other is immortals. In some sense, an immortal is just another term for the world. Therefore, according to Bu Jing's idea, considering the martial artist's body as the world, is the correct path to becoming a martial immortal. Don't think I can't hear you because you're whispering. Zhongli intruded into Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin's telepathic conversation, his voice full of shades of mystery, startling Bai Hongtu. Are you so sure that Bu Jing's idea is definitely correct? Bai Hongtu wasn't so sure. After several days of fermentation, the people in the black market were becoming more anxious. They wanted other martial arts techniques, but the peddler who sold aphrodisiacs didn't appear. The Bu family dispersed only two highly accepted martial arts techniques to the public that anyone can start, without any threshold. However, it would be difficult to master them. Stop waiting, do you see what this is? Someone secretly called a good friend and flashed a book he had, looking very smug. Is this a book depicting erotic life? Where did you get such great stuff? What are you thinking? Does your mind only contain obscene thoughts? Look carefully, this book contains new martial arts techniques. Really? His friend leaned in to look closer. This martial art technique won't consume the vital energy, but the cultivation speed is 10 times faster than ordinary people. It's called child power. Everyone's expression was tangled. Writing about how to cultivate child power in this kind of book was exasperating. Where did you get this? A curious friend asked. Did the peddler in the black market change his business from selling sexual performance enhancers to selling erotic books? Not in the black market, but in a bookshop corner. I secretly discovered it, and not just one book. I asked the bookshop keeper. The books are supplied from the Buwu city's Bu family. The Bu family that emerged 100 years ago. Exactly that family. The bookshop keeper didn't find out that this book contained martial arts techniques and thought it was an inappropriate book, hence why he bought it. Do you remember when you bought the medicine? The peddler said that his ancient ancestor lived for 300 years. Although I didn't buy the medicine, I indeed heard it. When I bought the medicine for a friend, I also heard it. Are you implying that the peddler could be from the Bu family? Uncertain, it's hard to tell the authenticity now. You said there's more than one book. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief only after each person held a book. It seems there is more than the child power. I have one called Primeval Universe Opening. Absolutely. Quote. I have one called, Cycle of Rebirth Extinguishing World. Wow, such domineering names. Leaving out the martial arts technique content, this book's storytelling is quite well written. Yeah, it does. I wonder who this clear-hearted author is. They can write such a touching article. A young lady in a boudoir wiped her tears after secretly reading a novel. Not to mention, the book describes how the son of falsehood cultivates, truly taking a road less traveled, drastically different from the martial arts techniques of the kings. I heard this book is from the BU family, so is the clear-minded author from the BU family. Similar scenes happened everywhere in the Ring universe world. People certainly believed the 12 kings, but they just took a glance. They knew that martial arts techniques were harmful, so they definitely will not practice them. As if overnight, bookshops started to sell a certain author from the BU family's works. Of course, this world couldn't possibly achieve this. This was Zhongli's covert actions. As for the official Qi country, they wouldn't be bothered to check if romantic literacy is being sold in a bookshop. Look, my opinion is correct. If you want to get people to accept it, you have to go from this angle. The result is obvious. It's quite a success, Zhongli said. Yu Yin and Bai Hongtu looked at Zhongli with strange eyes, as if they were meeting him for the first time. We know about success, but we didn't know that you, Zhongli, are also a great author. An author who writes these kinds of books. Respect, respect. Zhongli acted as if he hadn't seen it. He turned to Bu Jing and said, news about books flowing out of the Bu family have spread around the world. Are you prepared to face the public? Search the novel Fire. Ada at. Bu Jing nodded solemnly. Finally, the Qi country's court noticed that too many martial arts techniques were circulating among the people. These non-king issued martial arts techniques were considered banned books. Not many people practiced them, but many people possessed them. The Ring universe world lacked books about physiology. Zhongli plagiarized content to satisfy the market, which is why even if people weren't interested in martial arts techniques, they were still interested in buying the book. The court ordered the book to be turned in, but it was proving difficult. No one wanted to do so. Whoever turned in a book, it implied they bought aphrodisiac medicines, or inappropriate books. They felt ashamed. The court then changed its strategy, claiming these martial arts techniques were evil techniques. Practicing them would result in possession and obsessively killing others, so they must be destroyed. At that, people hesitated and secretly destroyed them, but some still did not obey. They believed that it would be okay not to practice them, hence no need to destroy them. Moreover, it was an order from the court, not a directive issued on behalf of the kings in the emperor's dream. Compared to the Qi country court, people were more willing to believe the kings living in the upper realm. Half a month later, a shocking piece of news came out from the Bu family, causing uproar worldwide. The Bu family had a 300-year-old monster. Chapter 182 to 181, The Birth of Bu Jing. Chapter 182, Chapter 181, The Birth of Bu Jing. The whole event started over a trivial matter. A Bu family disciple and those from other aristocratic families in Bu city were drinking and were captivated by the beauty of a songstress. Both the Bu family disciple and another aristocratic disciple expressed their amorous feelings towards the songstress, each of them intending to buy her freedom. It took a considerable sum to buy her freedom, and thus the two disciples began piling silver notes onto the table, competing to see who had more money and hence the right to claim her. Eventually, the accumulated sum was more than enough to buy 10 songstresses, let alone one. One of the aristocratic disciples admitted defeat, unable to surpass the other in wealth. In frustration, they broke out into a brawl, resulting in the entire floor getting wrecked and both of them nursing severe injuries. The Bu family clan leader and the other aristocratic family clan leader, having heard about this incident, were determined to ensure justice for their respective clansmen. In a world where everyone practices martial arts, justice is resolved through fists. The showdown between the two clan leaders of the two leading aristocratic families in Bu city had to be grand and spectacular. Thus, a combat ring was set up in Bu city. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two grandmaster-level clan leaders stepped up, their fierce fight causing the platform to crack. The Bu family clan leader seemed to be under the weather that day, unable to display even half of his martial arts skills. The aristocratic clan leader seized this opportunity to land heavy blows, and it seemed as if the Bu family clan leader was about to be beaten to death. At this moment, an old figure with white hair and beard appeared from the Bu family. With a simple palm strike, he brought the aristocratic clan leader to his knees, blood streaming from his 7 orifices. I've been in reclusive training for 300 years, only to come out and find the younger generation so incapable. They can't even withstand 10% of my power. The old figure from the Bu family scanned the crowd and praised, "Using your lifespan to cultivate martial arts, and pursuing the martial way, is admirable, even if it costs you your life by the age of 40, seeking the martial path is commendable." Quote, "I am not alone in walking this path. There are successors in the martial world." The crowd was thrown into an uproar. Being able to bring down a clan leader in a single move clearly indicated that he was at the top echelon of martial artists. Yet, this was not the most shocking part. The most astounding thing was, how could anyone look like this? His body stooped, completely covered with white hair, brows, and beard, a face full of wrinkles, and so thin he looked like skin and bones. Could this really be a human? People were more inclined to believe him to be a demon or ghost rather than believing he was human. They couldn't possibly imagine a human living till the age of 300. So the Bu family indeed has someone from 300 years ago. Someone suddenly came to a realization, having deduced the core strength of the Bu family from their actions of selling medicinal pills and books. This was exactly Zhang Li's intentional plot. The commotion caused by Bu Jing's appearance was not enough. In a world without live broadcasting, his display of prowess in Bu City only managed to convince people in the city that someone could live up to 300 years looking like that. Once they left Bu City, the story would travel by word of mouth, and when it reached other places, people would consider it a joke. They would not pay much attention to its authenticity and not take it seriously. Only when people were provoked to deduce the truth, would Bu Jing's real strength be fully recognized when revealed publicly. What did he mean? Are our martial arts techniques cultivated through consuming our lifespan? How could that be? Just because he said he lived for 300 years, does it mean it's true? I bet this person just put on a display, something no one has ever seen before, to appear interesting. SEARH the November ELF, IR.net. And one of the highest of martial artists performed as a clown for your entertainment. Amongst the living there were only 6 top-rate martial artists, fewer than those from 300 years ago. For citizens, these top-notch figures were esteemed individuals, so how could they possibly make fun of it? Do you believe whatever the top-rate martial artist says is true? That's ridiculous. Would you believe in the 12 heavenly kings or this creature who just showed up out of nowhere? This creature claimed our martial arts techniques come at the cost of our lifespan. If we consider this to be true, then doesn't it mean the heavenly kings are harming us? Is that possible? It truly isn't possible. The heavenly kings are our saviors. They freed us from the clutches of the old martial artists. Why would they harm us? I certainly believe in the heavenly kings. Hearing people calling him a monster, Bu Jing felt both grief and ridicule. He never imagined there would come a day when people would fail to recognize an old person and rather consider him a monster. Such a ridiculous situation. There are only 6 of the highest-ranking martial artists. Why so few? Bu, hiding in the crowd, was puzzled. Theoretically, with everyone practicing martial arts, the number of martial artists could be thousands or even tens of thousands times more than what it was 300 years ago. It was expected to have a few hundred top-tier martial artists, or at least several dozen. So, why were there only 6? Zhang Li shook his head. The highest martial arts realm requires the combination of essence, energy, and spirit. After consuming a lifespan, the essence diminishes, energy wanes, and spirit weakens, making it exponentially difficult for the 3 to coexist. Considering that we still have 6 top-tier martial artists in such circumstances, it is already quite numerous. Putting pressure on others, blocking their progress, fearing subversion, and making people submit. What a disgrace to the 12 heavenly kings. Yu Yin had no respect for the actions of the 12 heavenly kings and had no good impression of them. Yu Yin believed the dissemination of martial arts secrets by the 12 heavenly kings not only accelerated the changeover speed, altered history, and projected a grand image, but also served an ulterior motive to prevent people from reaching a higher realm. They were afraid of the increasing number of martial artists and possible breakthroughs that could threaten their rule. Zhang Li and his companions were at the pinnacle of martial arts in the state of Jojo, and they were never worried about lower rankers catching up and shaking their position. All 3 of them had the heart of a strong man, unafraid of challenges. They believed the more people challenged them, the better. The more challenges they faced and overcame, the stronger they proved to be. "My lord, shall we act?" someone whispered to the Bu City lord. "What the hell are you going on about? You think you can take down the highest martial artist?" The Bu City lord's face changed colors. "Report this to the court, let them determine the next course." Today's event was orchestrated by the Bu City lord himself. The court had noticed the Bu family secretly selling books and promoting old martial arts, hence they wanted to suppress the Bu family, but they were not clear about their strength. the Bu city lord guessed the court's intention and allowed the aristocratic clan leader to deliberately stir up a conflict and start a war with the Bu family, thereby finding out the true strength of the Bu family. The Bu city lord had a well-thought-out plan. After getting to know the Bu family's secrets, he planned to catch them off guard, capture the Bu family, and gain favor from the court. Now that the Bu family's secret was out, the Bu city lord found it overwhelming. Both were grandmaster martial artists, but how could the Bu family produce a top-rated martial artist? At this point, gaining the court's favor was out of the question. He could only report it and let the court send their top-rated martial artist to take care of the Bu family. You have my sympathies for the injury. Anything serious? The Bu family clan leader fed the aristocratic clan leader a pill, and his injury miraculously healed. The aristocratic clan leader was astonished. Is this magical elixir also from your ancient forebears? The Bu family clan leader laughed, but did not respond. It was a great healing pill provided by Bai Hongtu. Brother Bu, is this person really someone who has lived since 300 years ago? The aristocratic clan leader asked, lowering his voice. As a matter of fact, the aristocratic clan leader received 2 invitations. One was from the Bu city lord, who asked him to intentionally pick a fight to uncover the Bu family's core strength. The other was from the Bu family clan leader, asking him to start a fight so people could see the strength of the Bu family. The aristocratic clan leader found it quite surreal that both plans happened to coincide perfectly, so he simply agreed to both. He was actually very curious to see exactly what hidden strength the Bu family possessed. Upon seeing it now, he realized it was indeed extraordinary. Chapter 183 to 182, The Small Forces in a Poor and Remote Area. Chapter 183. Chapter 182, The Small Forces in a Poor and Remote Area. Did you hear that? In Bu City, there is a person from the Bu family who lived 300 years ago. His martial arts skills are at the pinnacle, unmatched by any. He claims that the martial arts techniques issued by the emperor would burn one's life. Those who practice it have shorter lives while those who don't, live longer. He has lived to this day because he practiced the old martial arts. This must be a rumor. How could someone live for such a long time? I don't believe it. Another man interrupted. I think there might be some truth to it. We have all bought medicine from the black market and books from bookstores. They all talk about the martial arts secrets from the Bu family. These secrets greatly differ from the current martial arts techniques. So what? Maybe someone from the Bu family came up with it. No, those martial arts techniques are of various kinds. They don't seem like they would be written by one person. It feels like someone memorized martial arts techniques from 300 years ago. Even if it's true, the emperors have said that those who practice the old martial arts would develop bloodlust and have short lives. This person lived until now, not knowing how many people he had killed in private. He's a demon murderer. Another person lowered his voice and said, no, I've secretly practiced the martial arts technique from the book, and I didn't feel any bloodlust. At this statement, everyone recoiled a few steps. Seeing that their friend did not turn into a murderous martial artist as the emperor had described, they slowly approached him. You're risking your life, daring to practice martial arts techniques that were not issued by the emperor. The friend laughed. I couldn't help it. Seeing a new martial arts technique made me curious. I wanted to try it. If there's a problem, I can just disable my martial arts. So you're saying that the emperor lied? The friend's situation drastically differed from what the emperor had described, which made people start to doubt. Nonsense, the emperor would never deceive us. Maybe it's because his practice time is still too short to show signs of bloodlust. Some firmly believed that the emperor is great and would never lie. Then how do you explain that old monster from the Bu family? If all the emperor said is true, martial artists from 300 years ago could only live until 30. Current martial arts techniques can extend life. How can that person live to this day? You are doubting the emperor. I'm stating the facts. The emperor is impossible to deceive us. Facts can't deceive us either. There was a disagreement between the two, sparking a fierce argument. Others quickly separated them. Such a situation would have been unimaginable in the past. In the Ring universe, the emperor is an authority. People never doubted his words. Older martial artists were bloodthirsty murderers with short lives, while the new martial artists had no bloodlust and lived longer lives. This belief that's been held for 300 years was being challenged in just a month. The risk of this belief collapsing any time was high that the royal court didn't dare to hesitate. They directly ordered 3 of the very top fighters to kill Bu Jing. Among the top 6 fighters of this age, 3 were from the royal court. At midnight, a dark shadow lurked around the Bu residence, blending in with the night. Gentlemen, since you're already here, why don't you show yourselves and let this old man get a glimpse of the competency of today's warriors? Bu Jing sat cross-legged in the martial arts field, slowly opening his eyes. About a dozen grandmaster martial artists appeared, bowing their fists in respect. We have no intention to oppose the old man, we just want an answer. Bu Jing shook his head, I wasn't talking about you. Footsteps echoed from the darkness. A peak-level martial artist in a red official robe slowly came forward. I thought the rumors were false, but after seeing this, I now understand that there exists a peak-level martial artist that looks like this. I wonder if this look is the result of a rare disease, or is it what people really look like when they grow old? I don't want to kill you, old man, but the worms from the royal court are inside me. If I don't do what they want, it will mean my death. So, old man, please prepare to die. Before the emperor ascended to the upper realm, he left the royal court with a method to control peak-level martial artists, similar to the manipulation worms used in the 9 continents. 3 peak fighters in red official robes confronted Bu Jing. The reason Bu Jing was afraid to reveal his identity was that he feared that Qi country would send people to kill him. Although these top fighters had shorter lifespans, their combat power was no different from the top fighters of the past. Bu Jing didn't think he could win against 3 top fighters at the same time. However, Bu Jing was not scared at all. Knowing that there were 3 powerful figures watching him, he knew he would be safe. First-class martial officer, Th3 peak-level martial artists. Those dozen or so grandmaster martial artists took notice and quickly distanced themselves from the Bu family. Hee, the royal court wants to kill people without questioning. Could it be that this old man is really a person from 300 years ago and has touched the pain point of the court? Suddenly, another peak-level martial artist appeared. It's the esteemed Saran from Bai Shui Pavilion, exclaimed one of the grandmaster martial artists. We don't have much time left to live, don't you guys want to learn the method of living longer from the old man? Another peak-level martial artist appeared. These peak-level martial artists were all around their 30s to 40s and didn't have many years left to live. Search the no circumflex velire.net. It's the Hall Master Qingming from Tingfeng Tower. The same grandmaster martial artist exclaimed again, there are 6 peak-level martial artists here. Another peak-level martial artist appeared. I'd like to hear what martial arts secrets from 300 years ago looked like from the gentleman. What's been circulating in the market should not be the complete set, right? Why don't you accompany us to a poorer place for a visit? What if I refuse? Then we might have to use some methods. It's the Fisher Hermit from Diaoyu Island. The grandmaster martial artist was shocked. There are 6 peak-level martial artists here. Curiously, those grandmaster martial artists asked. Brother is so knowledgeable that he recognized all the peak-level martial artists at first glance. We've never seen you before, may we ask where you come from? Everyone knew about the 3 peak-level martial artists who were not affiliated with the court, but they had never seen them in person. The grandmaster martial artist who could identify the origins of these high-level martial artists was clearly well informed. The head of Dao sect, Bai Hongtu, the grandmaster martial artist introduced himself. These are my friends, Hall Master Zhongli from Human Emperor Hall, and the Queen Yuyan from the Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty. Dao sect, Human Emperor Hall, Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty. The grandmaster martial artists were bewildered. They'd never heard of these organizations, and there's only one Qi country now. They puzzled over where this Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty came from. We come from a small faction in a remote corner. It's normal if gentlemen haven't heard of us, said Hall Master Zhongli. Yes, our place is very poor, we can barely find a martial artist. Bai Hongtu followed Zhongli's words and spoke the truth. The Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty is quite far from the Qi country, it's normal if you haven't heard of it, said Yu Yin, also speaking the truth. Abu, who was hiding in the distance, had his spiritual platform opened by Bai Hongtu. His senses were heightened, and he could hear their conversation clearly, his mouth twitching. You 3 dare to say. The battle will be earth-shattering. At that time, houses will collapse, and who knows how many people from the Bu family will be crushed. Someone expressed worry. Don't worry, the old patriarch of the Bu family had anticipated this and had already moved the people from the Bu family in advance, Zhongli said. Chapter 184 to 183, A Give and Take. Chapter 184, Chapter 183, A Give and Take. Unexpectedly, the world's 6 unparalleled individuals gathered at the Bu family, with only Mr. Land standing on the side of the Bu family ancestor. The other 5 have no good intentions. The Bu family ancestor is in danger. Bai Hongtu said with a solemn expression. Not necessarily. I heard that the Bu family ancestor is the son of the Martial Arts Alliance hierarch Bu Wu from 300 years ago. named Bu Jing. His reputation as the first among the 24 martial sons 300 years ago speaks volumes about his power. Today might be his grandstand. Zhang Li disagreed, believing that the Bu family ancestor could soar high. Brother Zhang, don't talk nonsense, it's a 2-on-5 situation, how could the Bu family ancestor possibly win? Bai Hongtu gave a cold humph. Look at how Bu family ancestors' strength and spirit are surging like a mercury column, reaching the peak in the unparalleled realm. He even has a faint glow that sheds from the 712 apertures all over his body. He might even break through the unparalleled realm, reaching a new level. If he breaks through the unparalleled realm, wouldn't that place him on the same level as the 12 Sky Kings? Bai Hongtu exclaimed, horrified. These are not words to speak lightly of. The Sky Kings are supreme. Even if they reside in the upper realm, they have complete insight into all matters. Be careful, Brother Zhang, in case they heard your disrespectful words. I'm not speaking lightly. I heard from the Bu family that the Bu family ancestor had insights when observing the heavens and wrote the remarkable book, Outer Scenery, which is the key to breaking through the unparalleled realm. He named the next martial art realm Outer Scenery, and whoever gets this scripture is expected to reach it. Zhang Li earnestly confirmed. What, there is such a scripture? Bai Hongtu was surprised. Bu family ancestor is indeed formidable, worthy of a being that lived for 300 years. Yu Yin, observing the banter between the two, felt that he was incompatible with them. They had done this when everyone else was a candidate for human emperor. The old human emperor gathered the human emperor candidates together, let them enter the nameless secret realm, and gave each a wooden tag. They could fight for each other's tags, and whoever got the most would be the winner. Bai Hongtu and Zhang Li first robbed more than 10 tags from others, and then Bai Hongtu pretended to accidentally drop one into the lake, exclaiming that he threw one but 2 tags floated up. Zhang Li was skeptical and tried it out, discovering that 1 tag really could become 2. He exclaimed that this was the ancient treasure-gathering lake left behind by the immortal hoarder and was a remnant of immortality. Bai Hongtu said that Brother Zhang is truly knowledgeable. I recall that this secret realm was left by the immortals, no wonder it's so extraordinary. It's mentioned in Celestial World Anecdotes that there was an immortal in the immortal realm who was treasure-oriented, named the Immortal Treasure Gatherer. His treasure-gathering bowl could duplicate everything, it was one of a kind. Zhang Li said the secret realm that the old human emperor led us into must be extraordinary, so it stands to reason. Bai Hongtu said, that makes sense. I thought the old human emperor was having us fight each other to see who was the strongest. It turns out he wanted to see who had the broadest knowledge and could uncover the secret of this realm. Zhang Li said the old human emperor is deep-hearted. We cannot just look at the surface. Bai Hongtu agreed, saying he was right. Zhang Li replied saying it was nice to be agreed with. Seeing the two seemed to be talking seriously, quoting references, although others hadn't heard of Celestial World Anecdotes, with the number of books in the world, it's normal not to have heard of it. A few human emperor candidates believed it to be true and threw a tag into the lake as well. Bai Hongtu also threw in a tag he had prepared. Those human emperor candidates quickly found they had 2 tags. Throw 1 in and get 2, throw 2 in and get 4, this news spread quickly. Many human emperor candidates threw their tags into the lake. Then there was no more. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu, who were hidden under the lake, swept away all the tags. Those who hoped to get 2 tags didn't even get a single token. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu became the human emperor candidates with the most tags in that competition. Yu Yin, honestly stealing other people's tags, came in 3rd place. The old human emperor praised Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu for their actions, saying, well done, but don't do it this way next time. In the Memoirs of the Human Emperor, written by Captain Liu, he wrote that the old human emperor spent half the night looking for Celestial World Anecdotes and the Immortal Hoarder in the Sutra Collection Pavilion, but found nothing. Is there really a way to break through the unparalleled realm? A true grandmaster martial artist hurriedly asked Zhang Li, harboring strange thoughts, if they could create chaos. Zhang Li did not answer, but sighed, what a pity, we are only at grandmaster realm. In the battle of the unparalleled realm, we are like a leaf-light boat, a mere ripple could capsize us. The grandmaster martial artists felt as if they had been doused with cold water and calmed down. At this moment, Bu Jing and Mr. Lan were fighting against 5 of the same rank. They were at a disadvantage. Mr. Lan's skills were limited, only able to restrain the fishermen. Bu Jing had to face 4 unparalleled individuals, the pressure can be imagined. The sound of their battle was like a muffled thunder, resonating through the heavens. Everyone in Bu City could hear it. True to the fear of the unparalleled combatants, in just a moment the Bu family's mansion was flattened like a level ground. Bu City was like welcoming an earthquake, the ground was turning over and the houses were shaking. Seeing this, Bu Jing led the battlefield out of the city so as not to harm innocents. With the huge movement of the seven, the people of Buwu City all woke up to watch the fight. It was a rare occurrence to see a battle among the strongest in the world. Adding the suspicion of an ancient person from 300 years ago, it attracted a lot of attention. The three of the court's unparalleled individuals united in an attack. Red clothes billowing like clouds were quite imposing. Bu Jing couldn't hold up, he was knocked back several hundred meters, and who knows how many trees were knocked flying. The master of Qingming Tower's 5 fingers clawed at one of Bu Jing's legs. Bu Jing dodged by suddenly throwing his body upright, and the several-ton rock behind him was shattered by one claw of the Qingming Tower master. Old man, tell us, how did you live so long? Is it because you practiced the old martial arts that you could live for 300 years? We don't believe it. Do you need to eat from the purple cart river or suck the energy from the living? Isn't that what you old martial artists like to do? Don't believe me? Then why ask? Bu Jing stood strong, his limbs firm as pillars. The Qingming Tower master's arms were numb from the strikes. If it were a one-on-one fight, the Qingming Tower master had to admit he could not beat Bu Jing, but luckily he has the help of 3 of the court's unparalleled individuals, SEARH the NO circumflexelfire.net. Although their goals were not the same, at least they agreed on defeating Bu Jing for now. Sky Kings descended from the heavens, they are invaders, they altered the history. 300 years ago, martial artists could live up to 300 years old just by cultivating to the unparalleled realm. There was no need for the disgusting methods you speak of. Bu Jing was panting, his eyes red, he couldn't stand anyone saying that old martial artists were bloodthirsty. If the old martial artists were such killers, how would his father, the Martial Arts Alliance hierarch, be viewed by the world? What nonsense, keeping people in the dark. Sky Kings are above insult. The court's unparalleled people shouted, I don't know where you came from, but you're definitely not an old martial artist. No one in this world can live up to 300 years old. Huh, you're short-lived and can't stand to see others live longer, how ridiculous, Bu Jing scoffed. Chapter 185 to 184, Outdoor Scene. Chapter 185, Chapter 184, Outdoor Scene. Don't think I can't see it, you all have tried to practice the martial arts secret techniques I passed on. If traditional martial artists truly live short lives, only able to survive until 30, then how do I explain, and how do you all explain? All of you are in your 30s, according to the heavenly lords, wouldn't it be death as soon as one practices the old martial arts secret techniques? You all have also noticed that practicing old martial arts not only does not shorten life but can extend it. And there's no bloodlust urge. Actually, you all have doubts in your hearts, just afraid to voice them. Although Bu Jing was at a disadvantage, he never stopped talking, wanting to clear the reputation of the old martial artists. They were absolutely not what the heavenly lords claimed them to be. When Bu Jing said these words, his voice was incredibly loud, allowing the spectators who were watching outside the city to hear clearly. Everyone was astounded. A martial artist surnamed Bai and another surnamed Zhang, both who are grandmasters, were especially shocked, their expressions extremely exaggerated. What? Even the pinnacle humans think there's a problem with the martial arts techniques issued by the Heavenly Lord. The Grandmaster martial artist surnamed Bai yelled out. What? Old martial arts can extend life. And there's no bloodlust urge. The Grandmaster martial artist surnamed Zhang yelled out. Seeing the situation become chaotic, Yu Yin felt like blocking everyone's mouths. Normally, one shouldn't speak too loud during a fight, making it easy for opponents to seize an opportunity to counterattack, but Bu Jing still did so, and the 4 opponents did not counterattack. The Grandmaster martial artists could not perceive it, but as pinnacle humans, even if they did not know what the traditional martial arts secret techniques looked like, they had some inkling that something was wrong with the techniques issued by the Heavenly Lords. This was the intuition of a top-notch martial artist. They instinctively felt there was something wrong with the secret martial arts techniques they practiced all their life. But they dared not say it, neither could they say it. They had the Emperor's parasites within their bodies, and the moment the Emperor sensed anything amiss, he could control their bodies through the parasites, holding their lives and deaths at his whim. They consoled themselves by saying that the Heavenly Lords did not lie. Indeed, one's lifespan would be shorter when practicing the traditional martial arts secret techniques, and the current martial arts secret techniques are an improved version. But logically, since there are issues with the martial arts technique, it could only be improved, not resolved. Why not just not practice them? Why would the Heavenly Lords demand everyone to practice them? Because of their fear of the terrifying Heavenly Lords, they could only pretend to know nothing. I have a way to deal with the parasites inside your bodies. Bu Jing said nonchalantly, I have a secret method that can silently kill the parasites. Bu Jing's secret method was to seek Zhang Li's help. The pinnacle humans from the court had their pupils slightly widened. Even if they could break free from the control of the parasites, they would have to face the pressure of the 12 heavenly lords. They were just martial artists, how could they possibly defeat the heavenly lords of the upper realm? As far as they knew, the emperor had a way to contact the heavenly lords, who might descend to the mortal realm at any time, and when the heavenly lords find out about their betrayal, they would undoubtedly die. While they were fighting close to Bu Jing, they asked in low voices, what will you do if the heavenly lords descend? Such good news, definitely making them can't return. Bu Jing originally wanted to say this. But Zhang Li warned, not to frighten the enemy and alert them. If the heavenly lords know they were waiting for them here, they definitely wouldn't dare to show up, they'd act like scaredy cats. Break through the pinnacle humans, reach the same realm as the heavenly lords. When Bu Jing said this, his voice didn't fluctuate, yet made people feel a kind of domineering aura from their bones. Nonsense. The Lord of Qingming Tower shook his head. Don't believe it. Bu Jing smiled faintly, taking a step forward, his 720 major orifices opened up, emitting a faint glow, as if like the stars. Bu Jing's momentum kept soaring, the inner and outer scenes converged, gathered in his dantian, an unparalleled momentum burst forth from his rugged body, as if heaven and earth were trembling for it. It's hard to imagine such a small body containing such a tremendous force. As this, the pinnacle humans present all gave birth to an absurd idea in their hearts, but dared not to confirm it. This is beyond comprehension. Bu Jing dispensed a punch casually, like an ancient brutal bull raging and rampaging ferociously, blasting half of a mountain away. No other human could deliver such a powerful blow. However, it was just a casual strike from Bu Jing. Bu Jing chuckled and said, external view, I name this realm as external view. He could easily break through the human limit at any moment. However, he hadn't done so, as he wanted to probe the opinions of those at the peak of humanity towards the Sky King. Search.the.no.circumflexelfire.net. Now it seems, they also doubt the Sky King. If that's the case, they are in the same boat. They all have enormous influences in the martial arts world. If they could be persuaded, more people could be led to believe that there are problems with the martial arts scripture of the Sky King, and that the Sky King is an invader. After becoming an external view martial artist, Bu Jing truly realized the power that lay beyond the peak, acquiring such a force. No wonder his father was defenseless against the Sky King. Bu Jing sighed that the gap between external view and the peak of humanity was too vast. Under the external view, all disputes seem meaningless. The group of 6 ceased fighting. This is called the Upper Realm External View Scripture. It can help you break through the human peak and reach the external view. Bu Jing took out a book from his robe. On the front cover, the words, the Upper Realm External View Scripture, were boldly inscribed, making a strong impression. Tower Lord of Azure Abyss, you want to extend your life, right? Breaking through the external view can add 100 years to your lifespan. Sage of the Fishing Cottage, you want secret martial arts scripts, don't you? Is this, Upper Realm External View Scripture, to your liking? Mr. Lan, after breaking through the external view, I will tell you about the prospering martial world from 300 years ago. How about that? Bu Jing then turned to the 3 men dressed in red official robes and said, in this way, there will be 7 people in the external realm. Though it's uncertain if we can defeat the Sky King, we can at least protect ourselves. Do you want to live out your remaining years humbly, waiting for your big 4-0, or do you want to break through into the external view and live for another 100 years? Bu Jing's words were quite conservative. It is impossible for an external view martial artist to only live 100 years longer than those at the human peak. However, Bu Jing, who had just broken into this realm, didn't know how long he would live. So, according to his experience, he stated that it might add 100 years to their lifespans. The temptation given by Bu Jing was too great. The 3 of them had no reason to refuse. They accepted his scriptures, clearly recognizing the supremacy of this scripture for breaking into the external view. They then bowed respectfully to Bu Jing. The other 3 also accepted the scripture and respectfully bowed to Bu Jing. With sincere hearts, all 6 of them shouted in unison, "Hail to the Master of Sword Dao." Their voices were full of vitality. The spectators in the distance could hear every word clearly. The Master of Sword Dao, it was a title that Bu Jing deserved. He was not only the first external view powerhouse but also the teacher for all the external view powerhouses of future generations. The Upper Realm External View Scripture, was not strictly a martial arts scripture in the conventional sense but rather an enlightenment scripture to help those at the summit of humanity to break through to the external view. After breaking through to the external view, they could continue to practice their own martial arts scriptures without any hindrance. Given some time and continuous breakthroughs, Bu Jing could truly achieve what was described in The Four Pillars Supporting Heaven. His movements could turn rivers upside down and terrestrials upside down. Writing scripture effortlessly, Bu Jing could easily break through to the external view without needing further insights. However, these six needed some time to comprehend and reflect before they could break through. Using his finger as a sword, Zhang Li released the hard sword, and silently killed the bugs within the three human peak red-robed individuals. Bugs presented no threat to Zhang Li. Naturally, these bugs, which were weaker than the GU bugs, were resolved with a single sword strike. Zhang Li only knew the hard sword technique, standing out among all other sword techniques and commanding respect, even from the likes of Bai Hongtu and the Sword Monarch. A sudden shock hit the three men. The suffocating pressure inside their chests dissipated. When they looked within themselves, they found that the bugs that disgusted them had disappeared. They looked again at Bu Jing's inscrutable smile and respected him even more. Bu Jing didn't know the reason for their change in attitude, but it didn't matter. Maintaining a smile was always the right thing to do. Chapter 186 to 185. The Next Plan of the Kings. Chapter 186. Chapter 185. The Next Plan of the Kings. Inside the secret realm, the spiritual energy was rich, and across the mountains and valleys, there were spiritual plants known for prolonging life. Beautiful young women strolled along the country trails in thin clothing, drawing attention. These women were not only attractive but also skilled in cooking, weaving, and poetry. They were talented and ensured that the 12 Sky Kings lived enriched lives here. Of course, they also provided physical service. A magnificent palace, mysterious and majestic, sat among the mountains. It's been 315 years now. By now, I believe everyone in the world should believe that we are their saviors. The 12 Sky Kings sat in the palace, discussing matters that concerned their future and the future of the Ring universe. They should by now. 2 months ago, I went on a visit around our world. The belief in us is strong. In every household, there are statues of us 12. When we get there, we can use the power of belief to reach the end of our current realm. Night Sky King, you haven't changed your old habits. What? Our world? We're in the upper realm now, so we should refer to the Qi country as the lower realm. Indeed, that place is the lower realm, while we are in the upper realm. Time flies, and suddenly it's been so long. This place is a true paradise for immortals. Another king nodded gently, savoring the past 300 years of lavish life. The lower realm was filthy and had little spiritual energy. It was indeed a wise decision to gather all the spiritual energy from the lower realm to this place. But doing so made the spiritual energy in the lower realm even sparser, almost scarce. A king sighed, then smiling cheerfully, added, however, those ignorant folks don't know the magic of spiritual energy, so leaving it to them would only be a waste. Giving it to us is much better. Every 20 years, we select a group of beautiful women from the lower realm to serve us. This carefree life is indeed the life of an immortal. Even now, we still have the same vitality as we did 300 years ago, day and night indulging in our women. The decision Chaos King made, to only let mortals live until 40, is indeed an excellent idea. It not only accelerated the generational change of the mortals and altered history quickly, but also enabled the women from the lower realm serving us to retain their beauty for life. We never have to witness them age and lose their beauty. The women who came here would age from their teen years to their 30s. Each age group had its unique charm that one of the kings took great pleasure in. Oh, it was nothing more than an inspiration. Chaos King feigned modesty, but his expression was smug. Issuing the martial arts secret manual of burning life and claiming it could prolong life, and spreading propaganda that the old martial artists were evil, these two deeds earned him much praise. The other 11 kings had little choice but to admire him. We should be thankful that there's a clear distinction between immortals and mortals. These women can't get pregnant. Otherwise, wouldn't there be a bunch of our offspring running around the spacious upper realm? That would be a real downer. What's the use of offspring? They're nothing but a burden. We're supposed to live forever, we can't be stuck watching our descendants being born and die. True, but we do need some of our offspring to manage the lower realm for us and ensure the mortals' belief in us. Aren't Night Sky King's descendants the royal family of Qi country? SEARH the NO circumflex ELFIRE.net. Standing up, Chaos King laughed. Since we all agree that the time is right, we should start planning the next step. Agreed. The other 11 Sky Kings nodded. We 12 were lucky enough to be favored by the upper beings, who gifted us with pills that guided us to become divinity transformation stage. But the divinity transformation stage still has a limited lifespan, only lasting for 1,000 years. Colleagues, can we really bear to live only 1,000 years, to enjoy only 1,000 years? Every time it came to this, the 12 kings would exchange knowing smiles. They were nothing more than a group of martial artists, clueless about what quality the upper beings saw in them. They must have caught the upper being's attention by their diligent martial arts training, and were rewarded with the pills that allowed them to become Sky Kings. Of course, not. How can 1,000 years be enough? As per the words of the upper beings, after divinity transformation as the body integration realm, we must break through divinity transformation and become body integration. Not to mention that the ring universe had far fewer people compared to JoJo, thus receiving less power of belief, which was insufficient for the 12 Sky Kings to reach the body integration realm. Even if they were able to reach the body integration realm, this power, based solely on the strength of belief, would only be a show of force and wouldn't extend their lives. Similar to Luo Ying of the zombie world, when he was the Shadow King Buddha, he only had the power of the divinity transformation stage, not the lifespan of the divinity transformation stage. The 12 kings needed to figure out a way to truly reach the body integration realm, which the upper beings hadn't informed them of a normal method for cultivation. The method to reach the body integration realm has been told to us by the upper beings. Between life and death, living beings will long for survival. This unified will to survive is truly terrifying. It can turn decay into miracle and even defy nature. As all living beings now believe in as 12, this will to survive now has a direction, and that is us. Therefore, I suggest we create a disaster. We'll inform the lower realm that this disaster is unprecedented and calamitous, and that the power of as 12 is insufficient to resist it. To survive the disaster, the only way is to pray to us and hope that we become stronger. Quote, once we do so, faced with life or death disaster, the ignorant residents of the lower realm will pray together, helping us reach the body integration realm. The upper beings emphasize that only between life and death can the will of living beings reach the extreme and unite. To ensure success, once we set off the apocalyptic disaster, we should not stop it, and have everyone pray to us before their demise. Agreed. The 11 Sky Kings nodded. Chaos King's words matched their thoughts exactly. Of course, they wouldn't exterminate everyone completely. With no one left, who would serve them? They would leave roughly 1/10 of the population alive. After the disaster, they would claim they did their best, almost dying in the process of saving them. The mortals should be grateful. Those mortals will believe their words. There's no need to rush this matter. We can plan it at a leisurely pace. We have 600 years to prepare. The lives of those at the divinity transformation stage were incredibly long. Nowadays, mortals become parents in their teens, and within 300 years, mortals have undergone 20 generations of change, but they have just gone through the first third of their life. Night Sky King made a small sound of surprise. What is it? A Sky King next to him asked. My descendant is contacting me through their dreams. The current emperor? Yes. Night Sky King was well versed in the dream path and allowed his most excellent descendant to contact him in their dreams. And the most outstanding descendant was undoubtedly the emperor. Usually, it was him who contacted his descendants to inquire about the lower realm. It was rare for a descendant to reach out to him instead. It seemed something had happened in the lower realm. Could it be a significant problem? Just 2 months ago, he had returned from the lower realm, where everything was peaceful. The people were as ignorant as ever, practicing the burning life martial arts, worshipping the 12 Sky Kings. The Chi country court was obedient, and the 3 individuals at the top of the human realm were also very cooperative. Everything was not only as it should be. I'd like to see what could possibly happen in the lower realm. Night Sky King muttered to himself, entering his dreams to see the obese Chi King dashing towards him. Ancestor, there's a huge problem below, the people are rebelling. Chapter 187 to 186, Lure the Snake Out of Its Hole. Chapter 187, Chapter 186, Lure the Snake Out of Its Hole. Your Majesty, the south is suffering from a severe drought, resulting in a famine. The people have no food to eat and are forced to dig for roots and eat tree bark. Many have starved to death because of this. Seated on his high throne, the king of Chi was puzzled. Why are the people so foolish? If they can't eat rice, why don't they eat meat congee? The minister didn't know how to respond and stuttered before finally saying, as you command. The king of Chi nodded, told the minister to leave, and thought that the people sometimes stuck to old ways and couldn't adapt. As an emperor, he needed to think of clever solutions. After the minister left, a person in a black robe quietly arrived in the palace. He lifted his hood, revealing he was the master of Kingming Tower. Unknown to the three men in red, the renowned master of Qingming Tower in the world of martial arts was also a court official. Now, the three red robes were taking orders from Bu Jing, cutting off contact with the court. Buwu City had become the main base of the red robes, with the city lord imprisoned and no news coming out. The king of Qi was anxious as he had no one by his side. Fortunately, the master of Qingming Tower found an opportunity to quietly leave the Bu family and return to the court. The master of Qingming Tower whispered a few words in the king of Qi's ear and handed over a copy of the outer landscape scripture of the supreme clarity. The king of Qi was not highly skilled in martial arts, so he didn't understand the mysteries of the scripture. However, he knew from the master of Qingming Tower that this book was essential for breaking through the limits of the human world and reaching new heights. It was invaluable. In a few days, those rebels will reach a new state. I urge your majesty to report this matter to the heavenly king as soon as possible and ask for his decision. After clarifying the matter, the master of Qingming Tower turned around to leave, returning to the Bu family to continue his undercover work. He was aware of the power of the 12 heavenly kings. In his view, the idea of breaking through and sustaining oneself was pure fantasy. In front of the heavenly kings, they wouldn't stand a chance. Choosing to stand with the heavenly kings meant a few more years of life. Standing with Bu Jing meant not surviving even for 2 days. Given this, it was better to show good faith early. The king of Qi paced around the hall. He realized that the situation was out of his control, and he had to contact the ancestors. The king of Qi was a heavy sleeper, which was his greatest strength. Among the descendants of the Night Heavenly King, he was the soundest sleeper. The Night Heavenly King often contacted the king of Qi, usually without any problem. Because the king of Qi was usually asleep. Ancestor, there is a man called Bu Jing in Buwu City who is said to be the son of Bu Wu, the martial arts alliance master from 300 years ago, and one of the 24 princes at that time. Bu Jing, I didn't expect him to still be alive. The Night Heavenly King muttered to himself, not letting the king of Qi hear. The king of Qi, ignorant of the origins of the 12 heavenly kings, believed they indeed came from the upper realm to save the suffering people in the lower realm. And of course, he, the king of Qi, was a descendant of the immortals, with noble immortal blood flowing in his veins. I didn't realize there was a realm beyond the human world's peak. I always thought the peak of the human world was the end of the martial arts path. The Night Heavenly King pondered, the outer landscape scripture of the supreme clarity. Bu Jing truly is a prodigy. Then he frowned in concern. Was Bu Jing that capable? Might there be a heavenly being supporting him, like with the messengers from the heavens? If Bu Jing had backers, he definitely shouldn't leave this secret realm. If necessary, he could stay there for a lifetime. The Night Heavenly King voiced his concern, to which the king of Qi replied, according to the master of Qingming Tower, Bu Jing came to this realization by observing the sun, moon, and stars. It has nothing to do with anyone else. The novel Fire. 8 ad. The Night Heavenly King nodded, feeling relaxed. It seemed he had been worrying too much. If Bu Jing had someone backing him, would he only aim to gather 7 outsiders to avoid his pursuit and eke out a living? The strength of the divinity transformation stage was not something they could imagine. Could Bu Jing honestly believe that the unity of 7 outsider martial artists meant they could defy him? Naive, childish. The strength of faith from the ring universe is divided equally among the 12 heavenly kings, enough to elevate them to the divinity transformation pinnacle. If it's concentrated on one heavenly king, it's enough to make him reach the body integration realm. Then what would Bu Jing use to fight me? And because of Bu Jing's cunning and deceit, there is an influx of ancient martial arts manuscripts in the market. The court must conduct a house-to-house search to stop the spread of these manuscripts. The Qi King reported truthfully. If Bu Jing only reaches the peak in the human world, he would be able to forcibly stop people from learning these ancient martial arts manuscripts. The Qi King didn't want to bring up this matter, as it would lower the ancestors' impression of him. But he had to report it. If Bu Jing becomes an external martial artist, let alone stop the spread of these ancient martial arts manuscripts, whether he, as an emperor, can even keep his head is questionable. Tisk, waste, always causing trouble. The Night Heavenly King reprimanded the Qi King, and the Qi King could only bow his head obediently. Bu Jing is not a threat. The real issue for the Night Heavenly King is the widespread availability of the ancient martial arts manuscripts. If people realize these ancient manuscripts aren't as he described, they would start to lose faith in the heavenly kings. Then, the heavenly kings' roles as saviors would crumble. When disaster strikes, who would believe that the heavenly kings have the power to save the world? It seems the only choice is to forcibly confiscate the ancient martial arts manuscripts, observe the effects, and if things still don't work out, they'll have to repeat what happened 300 years ago. kill a few rebellious elements, confine the thoughts of several generations, cover up this part of history, and then reconsider how to fabricate another world-ending catastrophe. The latter is what the Night Heavenly King did not want to see. He doesn't care how many people die, what he cares about is that this process would waste too much time. I am aware of this matter, the Night Heavenly King said before leaving the dream realm. After the Night Heavenly King left, 3 figures appeared in the dream realm. I thought all 12 Heavenly Kings could come into the dream realm, so that we could capture them all at once. Bai Hongtu sighed, as the sect master of Dao sect, it was only natural that he knew some of the dream path. Although he couldn't compare to the great dreamer who created the mysterious secret realm, it was effortless for him to infiltrate the half-finished dream realm of a divinity transformation realm dropout. At first glance, he could tell that this so-called Night Heavenly King was forcefully promoted with the use of elixirs. Calling him a dropout was already an overstatement. As for the dream path that the Night Heavenly King possessed, it might appear incredibly profound to the people of Ring Universe, but to Bai Hongtu, it was simply a mess full of flaws. If the Night Heavenly King dared to claim he mastered the dream path in the 9 provinces, it would make the great dreamer turn in his grave. Bai Hongtu even had the ability to reverse the situation, becoming the master of the dream realm and trapping the Night Heavenly King in a coma forever. The 3 men knew the history of the Ring Universe had been altered and had planned accordingly. Even though they didn't know why the Heavenly Kings changed history, the Heavenly Kings definitely cared about it. So, as long as they changed history back and aroused people's suspicion against the kings would be compelled to solve the problem. Things proceeded as the 3 men had predicted. The matter of Buwu City was significant, and when the Qi King contacted the Heavenly Kings, the kings had to leave the secret realm. If all 12 Heavenly Kings were to appear in the dream realm, things would be much simpler. The 3 of them surely had ways to kill them through the dream realm. As long as they completely erase the consciousness that enters the dream realm, the owner of that consciousness will die. This is the lethal method of the dream path. However, only the Night Heavenly King showed up. Killing him would create an alarm, scaring the remaining kings from appearing. But the current situation is critical for them, they must come out of the secret realm in 2 days, Zhang Li asserted. The Night Heavenly King was unaware that because he was the only one who entered the dream realm, he escaped a catastrophe and could hide for 2 more days. How can this pig-like person become an emperor? Yu Yin, who was also an emperor, looked at Qi King, who was still in the dream realm, with disdain. She thought the former emperor of Daong, Emperor Yang Luo Zheng, was the absolute lowest an emperor could sink. She never expected to see someone more foolish than Luo Zheng. How could someone be an effective ruler if they didn't even understand the conditions of their own common people? Qi King refreshed Yu Yin's cognition. Any emperor from the 9 provinces would be better than Qi King. Chapter 188 to 187, 9 Turn Immortal Pill. Chapter 188. Chapter 187, 9 Turn Immortal Pill. Outside Qi country lies an endless ocean with an unnamed small island. None of the experienced old fishermen are even aware of its existence. The small island is too far away from Qi country for fishermen to approach it. The space on the unnamed small island is distorted as 6 men with indifferent expressions and an air of transcendence emerge from the secret realms. The outside world is so impure, it is unbearable. Chaotic Sky King frowned. Unless there was a special circumstance, they would not come to the lower realm, where the spiritual energy was scarce, making life uncomfortable for those accustomed to the abundant spiritual energy in the secret realms. Moreover, the power of faith has decreased somewhat compared to 2 months ago. Night Sky King was dissatisfied. Even though the decrease wasn't much, it was enough to show that the public was starting to doubt them. This was a bad sign. They had to nip it in the bud. It's said that Bu Jing circulated old martial arts secret manuals in the black market a month ago. If I'd arrived in the lower realm a month earlier, I wouldn't be dealing with such a mess. Night Sky King regretted. He missed it by a month. If he had attacked the Bu family a month earlier, half of the Sky Kings wouldn't have had to move out today. The incompetence of their descendants had escalated the situation, bringing disgrace upon him, the esteemed ancestor. Resolve this matter as soon as possible, said Chaotic Sky King indifferently. Start using the power of faith. The 6 Sky Kings infused their bodies with the power of faith from Ring Universe, maximizing their strength. According to the envoy, we can now be described as being half-step into the unification phase, said Chaotic Sky King. Experiencing the power, he lightly stretched out a palm, and the calm sea immediately surged with monstrous waves. So this is the power of being half-step into the unification phase. It is indeed formidable, but it's a pity that this method can't extend our lifespan. The 6 Sky Kings were very satisfied with their current strength. They only deployed 6 Sky Kings because, with the empowerment of faith, the 6 could reach half a step into unification. If they deployed 12 Sky Kings, the power of faith would be spread thin, barely reaching the peak of divinity transformation. 6 kings in a half-unified state were obviously more useful than 12 at the peak of divinity transformation. As they flew close to the sea surface, splashing water everywhere, a whale surfaced for air and was split in half by chaotic Sky King's casual wave, its blood spreading around a small section of sea. This mere whale dares to block the path of the Sky Kings. The Sky Kings were like lofty gods, looking down upon the human world. This is Boo City, I can't help but feel a little nostalgic, one of the Sky Kings said with a smile. Once upon a time, Uncle Bu, the hierarch of the Martial Arts Alliance, was a person I could only admire from afar. Now, I realize that my vision was quite narrow back then. Bu, an ignorant brute. It's a pity he passed the Bu family's immortal fate to the good-for-nothing Bu Dong. I could only watch helplessly as Bu Dong disappeared before my eyes. Night Sky King regretted. I heard that those were the immortal talismans that could teleport to other worlds. If I could have obtained that, I might have been able to leave this world and spread the Sky King's fame in other worlds. At the divinity transformation stage, he could have been a great force in any other world. What a pity, indeed. The 6 Sky Kings emitted a terrifying aura, which made the people of Boo City feel like they were on the brink of death. When the people realized the Sky Kings had arrived, they knelt down, offered prayers and praises towards the godly figures in the sky. The attitude of the people pleased the 6 Sky Kings. If the people of Boo City, the origin, held this kind of attitude towards them, then the number of doubters among them was less than they had imagined. Where is the rebel Bu Jing? Bu Jing and 6 other peak martial artists stood on the city wall, silently beholding the imposing Sky Kings with grave expressions. Their hearts sank. The Sky Kings had come too soon. They needed a few more days for the imperial court to get the news. During this period, they could have broken through the external sceneries and had a fight. But they didn't expect the Sky Kings to arrive now. The Sky Kings had come too soon. As a remnant of the old martial artists, you have lived until now, certainly through the consumption of blood, heart extraction, bone knocking, and marrow absorption, practicing the demonic arts of the old martial arts. You shouldn't have survived until today. Instead of hiding in basements, avoiding the daylight, living a lowly, stolen life, you dare to defy the king's decree, spreading rumors and secret skills of old martial arts. It's truly audacious and reckless. There are also 6 prime figures in the mortal world who not only defy the will of heaven and refuse to serve the court, but also dare to challenge their superiors, colluding with the rebel Bu Jing, aiding in his evil deeds. Your crimes are unforgivable. Today, we descend from the upper realm to slay you rebels as a warning to others. I, Kingming, greet the 6 kings. Kingming, the building master, quickly distanced himself. I'm a spy for the court, and the king's will is heaven's will. I follow heaven's will and pledge loyalty to the court. It was me who informed the emperor about the whereabouts of Bu Jing and his followers. Kingming, you bastard. The 6 glared at Kingming angrily. They never expected there would be a traitor among them. Then why do you stand on the other side? Luantian King replied coldly. He drew his lance, giving no chance for Kingming to defend himself, pierced his skull, and nailed him to the city wall. This was, of course, an excuse. Kingming should not have known the outer scenery classic of the higher purity, and they couldn't let him live. The remaining 6 were on high alert. The 6 kings were even more powerful than Bu Jing had described. It was hard to survive even after breaking through the outer scenery, let alone being at the peak of mortal world. Death was upon them. Huang Luantian, Qi Bai, and the 4 of you. So, the so-called 12 kings turn out to be you sons of bitches. Bu Jing rose into the air, glaring at the 6 kings with a hateful face. 300 years ago, during the murder spree, the 12 kings thought they still had a conscience, so they used flames to cover their faces, keeping the world from seeing their appearances. Seahthe Novelfire Nati. Bu Jing always thought that the 12 kings were, like Zhongli, visitors from other realms. After all, it was impossible for 12 masters beyond the mortal peak to appear out of nowhere. Bu Jing never expected that he knew all these 6 people. As part of the 24 sons of the martial arts, I feel ashamed for you. The aged Bu Jing looked at the 6 kings in their youthful appearances, trembling all over. 300 years ago, during the golden age of the martial world, a group of talented youths emerged, recognized by the world as the 24 sons of the martial arts. Bu Jing, because of his status and talent, was ranked first among them. Bu Jing never imagined connecting these 6 kings, who were far beyond reach now, with the 24 sons, who were all innate martial artists 300 years ago. Bu Jing didn't know that there were pills in the world that could forcefully enhance a person's cultivation. For example, Zhongli has a 9-turn immortal pill, which could make a mortal into an immortal instantly. Originally, Zhongli thought crossing the tribulation to become an immortal was boring, so while passing the tribulation, he did a lot of things, including channeling a portion of the tribulation energy, playing rock paper scissors, poker, mahjong with other versions of himself due to the establishment of the Three Pure Land, live streaming the tribulation via the remote communication talisman. Yu Yin said that Zhongli's actions meant that the tribulation didn't kill him because the tribulation was merciful. Afterwards, Zhongli gave the tribulation energy to Su Wei, the chief of Alchemy Peak, who was overjoyed. He exhausted all his knowledge and produced a 9-turn immortal pill. This kind of tribulation energy only exists in true immortal tribulations. Unlike the tribulations formed by rules used by the gourd, which only has power, but not the energy that can be collected. Otherwise, Su Wei would definitely cooperate with the gourd, mass-producing the 9-turn immortal pill. Unfortunately, although this pill allows one to become an immortal, without the support of immortal power, their body will collapse and die. This is why, although the 9-turn immortal pill is good, no one dares to consume it. Otherwise, Zhongli would have let Gigi swallow it, allowing him to become an immortal and bring himself into the river of time. Zhongli has always used the 9-turn immortal pill to intimidate Bai Hongtu, saying that if he speaks carelessly, he will stuff the pill into his mouth and poison him. Bai Hongtu always said he knew he was wrong and would dare to do it next time. Chapter 189 to 188. Take medicine or continue speaking, you choose one. Chapter 189. Chapter 188. Take medicine or continue speaking, you choose one. Since these 6 individuals comprise the second set of 12 world kings from 300 years ago in the world of martial arts, the remaining 6 must be of the same origin. It seems that all 12 world kings come from your world. Zhongli sat in the small building, leisurely sipping tea. Bai Hongtu was responsible for providing the tea leaves. The wishful gourd supplied the thunder tribulation liquid used for brewing the tea. Yu Yin was in charge of brewing and Zhongli took up the task of drinking. Only a few knew that Yu Yin had a little hobby of brewing tea. Through his divine sense, Zhongli saw the King of Chaos at the forefront and thought about the task the system had assigned him. With the assistance of local powers, you need to defeat the King of Chaos, one of the 12 world kings. It should be feasible to defeat the Chaos King with Zhongli, who is already at the Golden Core stage plus the aid of the system, the help of the Martial Arts Alliance hierarch Bu Wu, and some other top fighters laid out strategically. This was bearing in mind that the original Chaos King of 300 years ago was only just beginning the divinity transformation. However, defeating the Chaos King could only be a partial victory as it was impossible for the ring universe of those times to overcome 12 god transformation stage cultivators. 4 people were seated at the tea table, and a Bu shuddered as he held the pot of tea, feeling a tinge of pressure. He wasn't able to drink the thunder tribulation liquid, not even the diluted version. The tea brewed by Yu Yin for him only used spring water. Watching a Bu, the wishful gourd felt a bath of envy. It also wanted to drink the tea brewed by Yu Yin, but it was just a gourd, after all. It recalled that the Ling Yao sect had once asked about the bestial transformation. It seemed that the Ling Yao sect was planning a big move. Don't worry. You can relax since by yourself you have managed to decrease our average cultivation level. No one in JoJo pulls it down as hard as you do, Bai Hongtu reassured a Bu. He was merely stating a fact. There was no one else in JoJo like a Bu, who had never been trained. Any old farmer you could randomly pick from the roadside could lift a stone mill weighing 100 jin. Abu's shuddering intensified. I didn't expect the 12 world kings to arise from such origins. Bu looked downcast. The people of his own world had amended the history and then audacious LV declared themselves Zods and world kins. He felt shame and disgrace on behalf of the 12 world kings. How could the world be full of such audaciously thick-skinned people? Besides, a profound hatred was burgeoning within him. His father was murdered by people from his own clan. This made his hatred for the 12 world kings even stronger. Bu, have you thought about what you want to do in the future? Zhongli asked. In the future, you mean? Bu glanced through the window where his older brother was still confronting the 6 extremely terrifying world kings. He suddenly understood. Once the world kings left the secret realm, everything would become a set fact. The world kings outside the secret realm and those inside would inevitably meet their demise. In the eyes of the 3 formidable figures, the seemingly terrifying world kings were no more threatening than 6 ants. Do you want to go to JoJo, or stay in your own world? Don't even think about creating a steady passage with the help of the Brahma Tower. While your world does possess vast potential in martial arts, it remains untapped. It's better not to involve it with immortality until it comes of age. Single quote. Bu remained silent. It was a difficult decision to make. While the JoJo world was strong and beautiful, and he would receive care from several great figures, it was not his home. The Their Ring universe world may be weak, but it was still growing. His older brother was pioneering a new world of martial arts. According to what these three people said, the limit of martial arts was not external appearance state. There were still realms beyond, and his only family was here too. What was he seeking? Strength, or the comfort of his family's presence? The question was too sudden. Bu had never thought about it before. After what seemed like an eternity, yet also an instant, Bu slowly lifted his head with determination and said, I want to stay. My big brother has lived alone for 300 years. As his little brother, I should support him. Bu could not fathom how his older brother had survived the past 300 years. The only person who knew the truth was him, who could not reveal himself for fear of being pegged as a monster, even to the point of being afraid of meeting people, let alone letting slip any information about the incident. Should he leave, he would indeed develop himself, but his older brother would return to his former lonely state. Only the two of them knew the truth about what happened 300 years ago in the Ring universe. Bu chose to stay and support his older brother. Seahthe. Having said that, Bu was like a deflated balloon and slumped down. Ha ha ha, don't intimidate this lad anymore. Bai Hongtu laughed loudly. Bu Jing's potential has not yet been fully exploited. Given time, he will naturally find a martial arts realm corresponding to the body integration realm. When the martial arts system is perfected, then a fixed channel can be established with JoJo. This will not take that long. The point about the half-step body integration realm they mentioned is quite interesting, Yu Yin stated. Even though the unnamed island seemed remote, it was still within the divine sense range of the three from JoJo. They could hear the conversations of the world kings clearly. The concept of peak divinity transformation only existed in JoJo and had been divided up by a group of divinity transformation cultivators in late stage to distinguish themselves from the others. Half-step body integration was easy to understand from its literal meaning, but this concept did not exist in JoJo. So you're at the divinity transformation stage, and you're at the body integration realm. During the convening of the 9-province council, would they invite you, who are only halfway to body integration? Has any of you ever been halfway to body integration? No, to reach TNE bogey integration must just require nanas, AOES it need to take half a step. After I had a sleep, I became a body integration cultivator. I don't know if I had gone through half a step to reach body integration. Bai Hongtu and Zhang Li amusingly stated that it was simple to advance to body integration realm. Gigi would have been extremely envious had he heard it. I think we could impose a realm tax, later on, a tax every time you break through a small realm. Subdivide the realms a bit, divide one realm into 10 layers, each layer with its early stage, middle stage, late stage, perfection, grand perfection, and after 10 layers, there are peak, half-step, completion, Bai Hongtu rambled on. Zhang Li pulled out a 9-turning immortal pill. Choose whether to take the pill or to continue speaking, he offered. Bai Hongtu quickly shut up. We are heavenly kings of the upper realm, what are these 24 sons of the martial world? Unheard of. The chaotic king adamantly denied. Pa, what kind of bullshit heavenly kings, what kind of bullshit upper realm, such boastful claims. Bu Jing spat. The 6 heavenly kings became furious, the Night King went into battle, sneering, years ago I killed your father, today I'll wipe out your Bu family lineage. Chi Bai, my father has been kind enough to guide you, you beast. Bu Jing's eyes turned crimson with rage, displayed his strength to the full, and activated the Pillars of Heaven technique. His forearms, resembling bronze pillars, shook under their great weight. The majestic power made Buwu City tremble. The dog of a ruined house barks in vain, powerless and in a rage. The Night King laughed, undeterred by the raging Bu Jing. To deal with Bu Jing, the Night King alone would be more than enough. However, the moment they clashed, the Night King sensed something strange. Bu Jing's strength was terrifying, even with his near-body integration stage skills, he found his 2 arms shaking. How could this be? This can't be. 300 years of resentment and anger erupted at this moment. His father was slandered as a bloodthirsty demon, his mother was brutally murdered, his younger brother had to hide in another realm, he himself had to stay hidden in a secret room. The massacre of 300 years ago, generations of ignorant people who were content to just live to 40, all of this was instigated by these 12 inhuman beasts. Every single move that Bu Jing undertook was packed with limitless willpower. It encompassed not only his own will but also the will of those who died 300 years ago. He wanted to seek justice for the Ring universe. Kill! Bu Jing roared, his technique so exquisite that it seemed as if the martial arts he had mastered and contemplated over his whole life were all integrated into each move. The Night King had no power to fight back. The Night King tried to put Bu Jing to sleep with his dream path technique, but the enraged Bu Jing was unaffected by it. Only then did the Night King realize that their boss hadn't taught them any techniques for cultivating immortality, and they hadn't resumed their martial arts training either. Thus, they had utterly wasted these past 300 years. Although the Night King was at half-step body integration, his physical body wasn't a match for Bu Jing in close combat. Bu Jing's potential was suddenly mushrooming, with every move stronger than the previous one. His rapid progress in combat was nowhere near the level when he first entered the Wujing realm. The Night King was beaten until his ribs were broken, unleashing screams of agony, and in a twisted bout of pain, he even bit his own tongue. People in Buwu City were dumbfounded, even the 5 peak individuals were shocked, hardly believing their eyes. Bu Jing truly deserved to be called the mentor of martial arts, his combat ability was beyond everyone's imagination. The remaining 5 heavenly kings, seeing that things were going wrong, rushed to act. Bu Jing might be able to defeat a single half-step body integration, but he couldn't overcome 6. However, the moves of the 5 heavenly kings, once they landed on Bu Jing, were dissolved by an unknown force. They were filled with dread as they found themselves unable to move. Zhang Li emerged from a small building, walking on the void as if on flat ground. He lightly laughed in front of the 6 heavenly kings. Chapter 190 to 189 The Death of Chaos King. Chapter 190, Chapter 189 The Death of Chaos King. A one-on-one fight and you still can't win, you have the audacity to call yourselves heavenly kings. Zhang Li's words were calm and bland, carrying a trace of mockery and disdain. When Zhang Li stepped out of the small building, it seemed as though the world had quieted down. Everyone waited for the steps of this nameless saint, even the citizens of Buwu City who had previously kowtowed and begged for the mercy of the heavenly kings had ceased their actions. They felt as though any movement in front of this saint would be a form of disrespect. Even if the heavenly kings were strong, their influence only enveloped Buwu City and a few surrounding cities. However, Zhang Li's influence covered the entire Huanyu continent. Now, the entire Ring universe was at a standstill. Everyone stopped their work. They did not know why they did this, only that their instincts told them they should. Zhang Li didn't have the overpowering aura of the heavenly kings. His aura was gentle and kind, like a bodhisattva guiding the living beings or a saint who dispels doubts about the world. However, beneath his gentle aura hid unquestionable power. Zhang Li strolled in midair. With each step he took, it was akin to stepping on the hearts of the heavenly kings. Zhang Li's approach made their hearts beat faster, their blood circulated violently. When Zhang Li stood in front of the 6 heavenly kings, their hearts were practically beating out of their chests. This was a far-fetched tale, an impossible occurrence for those at the threshold of the body integration realm. Zhang Li willed it, and 4 of the heavenly kings exploded before they had time to react, their souls shattered by an invisible force. Now, only the Chaos Heavenly King and the Night Heavenly King remained. The people, shocked beyond words, were locked in a daze for a long time. 4 formidable, terror-stricken heavenly kings were so easily dispatched, a sensation that felt surreal enveloped them. Even if they dreamed of such a thing, they would not dare believe it. The citizens of Buwu City couldn't believe it either. They had been taught since a young age that the heavenly kings were their saviors, sent from the upper realm to save them. Now, their supposed saviors had died, and their death was utterly worthless. You are the Chaos Heavenly King, right? When Zhang Li turned to the Chaos Heavenly King, the Chaos Heavenly King could no longer endure the pressure on his heart, vomiting blood heavily. He could no longer afford to care or dare to argue about the slight jest in Zhang Li's words. The Chaos Heavenly King was extremely shocked. He should have thought of it sooner. How could Bu Jing suddenly appear after concealing himself for 300 years? There must be someone backing him. Unfortunately in this world, there was no medicine for regret, it was all too late. I've heard a lot about you. We should have met 500 years ago. Unfortunately, there were some accidents, so we only met today. I regret not meeting you earlier. Zhang Li chuckled lightly, his tone was like he and Chaos Heavenly King were chit-chatting casually, but Chaos Heavenly King dared not relax for a moment. Also, Zhang Li's words left him baffled. What does he mean by saying we should have met 500 years ago? I was not even born 500 years ago. SEAHTHE November EL Fire. NET. Although the accidents were unclear, he preferred those accidents to continue happening. Who would want to encounter such a terrifying existence? The 6 heavenly kings did not dare to speak. The stronger they were, the more they could realize the terror of Zhang Li. This man was a man-eating abyss. In front of him, everyone was minuscule and pathetic. Their vision was too narrow, unable to recognize the grandeur of the whole picture. They only felt that this person was definitely on par with the envoy. How could such a being appear in their world? Could he be a colleague of the envoys? Regardless, considering the fact that he killed 4 heavenly kings without even giving them a chance to speak, he was not to be befriended. They would die. With the death of 4 heavenly kings, their faith power was absorbed by Night Heavenly King and Chaos Heavenly King, pushing them to the body integration realm. Despite this, they became desperate when they realized that, even in the body integration realm, they were still meaningless in front of this terrifying entity and they could not escape Zhongli's control. Dear sir, are you visiting the upper realm? Oh no, it's Heaven-Earth Sanctuary. If you do, I can lead the way for you. You may feel uncomfortable here in the lower realm due to the scarcity of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in my Heaven-Earth Sanctuary is abundant. I'm sure you will feel comfortable. Beside, inside the Heaven-Earth Sanctuary, there are also the 6 other heavenly kings, and countless beautiful women. The most beautiful women from all over the world are gathered there. You are free to enjoy them. But only I know the location of the Heaven-Earth Sanctuary and the special method to open it, so I hope you will spare my life and let me be at your service. The Chaos Heavenly King tried hard to showcase his value. Firstly, he mentioned that the spiritual energy in the Heaven-Earth Sanctuary was rich, which would be tempting if Zhongli was a cultivator fond of spiritual energy. Then, the Chaos Heavenly King mentioned the 6 other heavenly kings within, implicitly suggesting that if Zhongli wanted to save the world, he would need to kill the remaining heavenly kings. Lastly, he mentioned the abundance of beautiful women in the Heaven-Earth Sanctuary, hoping to appeal to Zhongli's lustful side. However, all these calculations were based on the premise that only the Chaos Heavenly King knew the location and how to open the Heaven-Earth Sanctuary. To Zhongli, however, those factors were irrelevant. With his immense divine sense, there were no secrets. Thank you, but no need. Zhongli, well versed in social etiquette, even if he were rejecting someone, he would be polite and ensure the other party did not feel awkward. Then, Chaos Heavenly King died at Zhongli's hands. The process was silent, like a violent mime play. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. Please accept the mission reward, a piece of the Immortal Ascension Ladder. Unlike Luo Ying's task, this piece of the Immortal Ascension Ladder, like the rewards from previous tasks, was sent over using spatial methods that Zhongli couldn't comprehend. Zhongli collected the golden piece of the Immortal Ascension Ladder. Now, he had 2 pieces. The system is still useful, thought Zhongli. Damn it, he took the lead. Bai Hongtu said bitterly. This bastard Zhongli took advantage of having higher cultivation and acted first. However, Bai Hongtu quickly fell silent. Although he too could allow the entire ring universe to sense his gentle aura, it was not as effortless as it was for Zhongli. It still came down to the difference in cultivation. Mahayana, it's such an unreachable realm, Bai Hongtu sighed deeply. Both Yu Yin and the Gourd agreed with Bai Hongtu's words. As per Elder Immortal's explanation, the Mahayana realm was equivalent to Earth Immortal. But Zhongli's Mahayana realm didn't seem ordinary at all. The invading heavenly demon from another realm was a life form at the level of an Earth Immortal but could not even withstand 3 moves from Zhongli. The Gourd experienced this deeply. As an immortal artifact, it freely controlled heavenly tribulations. Even an Earth Immortal was not its opponent. Yet such an entity was easily defeated by Zhongli, powerless to fight back. Zhongli turned his attention to Night Heavenly King, who didn't dare to move. He formed a few spell seals, causing the power of belief to be removed from Night Heavenly King. His momentum rapidly declined, and he dropped from the body integration realm to the divinity transformation stage. Zhongli gathered 9 provinces, power of belief within the bronze cauldron. Not using it did not mean that he didn't know how to use the power of belief. His use of the power of belief was unparalleled. Bu Jing, he's yours. The Night Heavenly King was not only the enemy of the brothers Bu Jing, he was also their ancestor. Therefore, Bu Jing was the most suitable person to deal with the Night Heavenly King. Thanks to Zhong, the human emperor. Bu Jing bowed in thanks, tears welled in his eyes. Then, with eyes filled with hatred, he stared intensely at the Night Heavenly King. Zhongli no longer declined and called Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin to go to an anonymous island overseas to finish off the remaining tasks. Chapter 191-190, Du Yi becomes an envoy. Chapter 191, Chapter 190, Du Yi becomes an envoy. King Chaos is right. Without the correct method, it is indeed difficult to open the secret realm. Bai Hongtu paced around the nameless island. To open the secret realm, you need to sacrifice 300 adult men on a full moon night, using their blood and flesh as the key. The correct symbols must be drawn with these, only then it will be successful, and only the heavenly kings know these symbols. Zhongli looked up, a crescent moon night had just passed. But fortunately, I am in the transcendence tribulation stage, such tedious rules are useless to me. Bai Hongtu held a talisman in his 2 fingers. With no wind, the talisman rustled, Bai Hongtu's whole persona changed, becoming ethereal, unfathomable. With his serious expression and handsome, refreshing appearance, he looked like an immortal from the saying, touched by an immortal, receiving hair not to gain eternal life. Very deceptive. What a good Taoist, Zhongli sighed. It's a shame he opens his mouth. Yu Yin pitched in. The two high-fived with joy, showing they were of one mind. The secret realm opened, and a bevy of young maidens appeared before the 3 men. The young girls and women hadn't seen anyone other than the heavenly kings in the secret realm, so they were very curious about the 3 men. Especially Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin. Bai Hongtu was elegant and suave while Yu Yin was pure and chaste, both were exceptionally good-looking. Zhongli was also handsome, but was still not as good as Bai Hongtu. Each time Bai Hongtu was beaten by Zhongli, he would comfort himself by saying, Zhongli is at higher cultivation level, it's fair to look worse. The 3 men ignored these women. Zhongli summoned the remaining 6 heavenly kings and lined them up neatly. King Chaos and the other 6 have been executed, now it's your turn. The 6 trembled in fear. Zhongli's strength completely exceeded their comprehension. Sir, we serve under Envoy Duyi. You should know Envoy Duyi, perhaps you are also an emissary of the respected God Hidden. One of them, called King of Death, tried to find a glimmer of hope. He still believed that only those who hold the same status as the envoy could move freely across worlds. Respected God Hidden, it's indeed a familiar name. Zhongli didn't know Envoy Duyi, but he was very familiar with Respected God Hidden. Hearing Respected God Hidden's name from these people's mouths was surprising for Zhongli. SEAHTHENO circumflexvelfire.net. He had asked Brother Bu Jing, who said there were only 12 heavenly kings, and didn't know how these kings appeared nor who was behind them. It appeared to him that Envoy Duyi was the man behind the 12 heavenly kings and was the unexpected guest mentioned in the system task, an extraterritorial devil. I am sort of a believer of the God Hidden cult. As the induction ceremony for the God Hidden cult was almost complete, Zhongli felt he could be considered a half-believer of the respected God Hidden. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin exchanged glances, shock evident in their eyes. Because the vice-sect hierarch of the God Hidden cult caused the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty to lose its capital, and even sacrificed 9 million lives, Yu Yin definitely wanted to investigate thoroughly. Venerable Mount Sumeru was killed by Zhongli. Bai Hongtu also investigated that. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin's investigation centered on the God Hidden cult and respected God Hidden. Of course, they hadn't found out about the fact that killing after believing in respected God Hidden can gain power of merit. But Zhongli had once asked the immortal of long life if one could kill for merit after believing in a god, and Bai Hongtu was present. Bai Hongtu thought the god that Zhongli was talking about was respected God Hidden. However, he knew Zhongli's worries, that the fewer people who knew about this matter, the better, so he didn't tell anyone. Yu Yin was confused, wondering how the respected God Hidden of Jojo would appear here. Bai Hongtu understood, the God Hidden cult was not from Jojo, but from the side of the extraterritorial devils. So, you are Duyi's subordinates. It appears that I inadvertently thwarted Duyi's plan. Zhongli laughed, like he was an old friend of Envoy Duyi, despite he heard the name just 20 seconds ago. King of Death breathed a sigh of relief. Since they were all believers of respected God Hidden like the envoy, he believed he could survive, assuming that the deaths of King Chaos and others were due to misunderstanding. This could be understood. In front of such a powerful being, King Chaos and the others are like mortals. A wave of the being's hand could kill them. Perhaps King Chaos' looks were so ugly that they displeased the being and led to his death. What did Duyi order you to do? We, the 12 of us, are originally natives of this world, and were chosen by Ambassador Duyi because of our modest talents, answered the envoy. In Bai Hongtu's mind, when Duyi said, modest talents, he probably meant that they were a group of ungrateful creatures, capable of betraying the world without feeling any remorse. The ambassador stated he was an envoy from the respected God Hidden, specially dispatched to rescue us. The ambassador bestowed upon us immortal pills, convincing us that by consuming these pills we would become divine beings. When I asked what is divinity transformation, the ambassador stated that it is a stage in the cultivation system, providing one with a lifespan of 1,000 years. In our world, dynasties change every 200 to 300 years. Being able to live for 1,000 years means we can witness the rise and fall of 3 or 4 dynasties, which is quite a lot. Zhang Li thought to himself that changes of dynasties every 2 to 300 years is quite similar to ancient times in his previous life. Moreover, living 1,000 years is enough from the Song dynasty to the modern era, it's pretty long. The ambassador told us that to transcend from divinity transformation to the body integration stage is extraordinarily difficult, impossible to achieve through regular means, thus necessitating unconventional methods. The ambassador also said that the collective will of all beings hold infinite power, capable of defying logic, making the impossible possible. Zhang Li was aware of this fact. The power of faith is a manifestation of collective will, allowing every single human emperor, excluding himself, to temporarily reach a state of equilibrium with the extraterritorial demons. If anyone frequently uses the power of faith, they would be assimilated by it and become the embodiment of all beings' hopes. This is a manifestation of the infinite power of collective will. For instance, Luo Ying, if he frequently uses the power of faith, he would truly become the Shadow King Buddha, the deity of zombie worship. That's why Zhang Li did not want Luo Ying to use this method. The boundary between life and death holds great terror but also great willpower. The strength of will displayed by all beings in face of death surpasses their own comprehension. Therefore, the ambassador suggested that we provide a direction for the population, becoming their faith. In doing so, we could rain apocalyptic disaster on the world, and as the population approaches death, they would pray to us, enabling us to transcend to the body integration realm. Zhang Li's brows furrowed slightly. This was something he had never heard before, yet it seemed logical. If Ambassador Du Yi turned out to be an extraterritorial demon, this might be the reason they do not directly cause worldwide destruction. They feared what might emerge from a creature's will as it approached death. Hence they utilized various indirect methods to cause worldwide destruction. Do you have any way to contact Du Yi? King of Death shook his head. The ambassador's wishes are as lofty as the sky, how could we possibly have the credentials to contact him? The ambassador said he would return to this world in 1,000 years to witness our achievement. Zhang Li laughed coldly and sighed, what a load of crap about witnessing achievement. The truth is they want to use you to kill people in this world, then they will come and finish you off. What a shame, if only he could lure out this extraterritorial demon named Du Yi, he could find out more about these creatures. The Earth demon-level extraterritorial demon had no intelligence. If this Du Yi was a heavenly demon, then perhaps he was that old Buddha who misled everyone and left traps everywhere in Kyushu. He hadn't yet faced a celestial-level extraterritorial demon in combat, he was eager to test his skills. Zhang Li flexed his fists, a slight grinding sound was emitted, expressing a hint of regret. Do you also believe in the respected God hidden? On hearing this, King of Death quickly responded, our cultivation is meager, how could we possess the ability to know the affairs of the respected God hidden? We only know the name of the respected God hidden. A glimmer of hope arose in King of Death's heart. Seeing that this power creature asked in that way, perhaps he could have the qualifications to believe in the respected God hidden and become an envoy like Ambassador Du Yi. The rest of the 5 kings had similar thoughts. Because they had noble aspirations, their deaths were particularly miserable. When there was no more information to extract, Yu Yin proceeded to kill the 6 of them. Under the Yu Yin's true phoenix immortal flame, the 6 of them screamed to their deaths. None of the 12 kings were innocent. They caused a bloodbath in martial arts, causing countless innocent lives to suffer. Not to mention that in a few more years, they would have brought about apocalyptic disaster, only 1 out of 10 individuals in the Ring Universe world would have survived. Their deaths were well deserved. Chapter 192 to 191, The Destruction of QJ Country. Chapter 192, Chapter 191, The Destruction of QJ Country. Like that, all 12 heavenly kings were settled. The kings probably hadn't expected that they were merely resolving the loose ends left from 300 years ago. How is it that in less than 2 hours, all 12 of them were annihilated? Facing the women in the secret realm, Zhang Li sighed, what a mess. Give them some money and let these women either marry or lead a solitary life till the end. Yu Yin had some experience with this. After killing the old emperor of heaven origin, she was once troubled by the 3,000 concubines he left behind. Killing them wasn't right, but neither was letting them go. So, Yu Yin gave them some spirit stones and let them figure things out for themselves. The women left behind by the 12 heavenly kings posed the same problem. Their innocence had been destroyed, and from today onwards, the reputation of the 12 heavenly kings would be tarnished. If these women wanted to live, they could only hide their pasts. By seek a good match and marry, she means to find an honest man to marry. The Ruyi gourd felt it understood Yu Yin's meaning, so it voiced its translation. Yu Yin gave the dumb gourd a hard knock. No one would consider you as mute if you didn't speak. Oh, hand these people over to Bu Jing. Bai Hongtu suggested, letting Bu Jing handle the arrangement. All right. Zhang Li agreed. These women did not know about the change in the outside world, nor the true nature of the heavenly kings. They still saw the kings as their saviors, so when the 6 heavenly kings inside the secret realm died, they were still on guard against Zhang Li and the others, some even harboring hatred. This was due to limited perspective. Zhang Li couldn't ask for more. In fact, it was not only these women. Most people in the Ring universe had just begun to doubt the heavenly kings, believing them to also be saviors. Otherwise, the heavenly kings would not have had such an abundance of faith power. With the death of the heavenly kings, people would probably see Zhang Li as the invader. Although Zhang Li emanated a very gentle aura. In addition, how to deal with the court of Qi country, how to maximize the propagation of the ancient martial arts secrets, etc., must also be resolved. The death of the 12 heavenly kings marked the end of an old era, and the dawning of a new age. Everything was chaotic. But what does this have to do with us? These are all things that Bu Jing needs to worry about, Zhang Li stated bluntly. Zhang Li himself had no good solutions for such matters. The reason he became the human emperor was that he had the welfare of the 9 provinces in mind and was remarkably powerful, not because he was adept at ruling. Just as Zhang Li did not master the Tao of time, he similarly did not master the governing of a nation. The trio brought the women out of the secret realm and returned to Buwu City. Now, only a skeleton of the Night Heavenly King remained, void of any flesh, while underneath the skeleton were small mounds of thin, wing-like pieces of flesh. Ling Qi. Bu Jing stood silently aside with a knife in his hand, expressionless. The physical body of the Night Heavenly King at the divinity transformation stage was very resilient. Those pieces of flesh were still slowly squirming and merging. However, the Night Heavenly King was not resilient enough to come back to life at this point. The squirming and merging of the flesh pieces were futile efforts. They soon lost their life force. The Night Heavenly King was thoroughly dead. At last, there was a change in Bu Jing's expression. His facial muscles relaxed. He slightly raised the corners of his mouth, as if laughing. However, his nose twitched, and tears flowed uncontrollable from his eaves. Bu Dong was the same. The 2 brothers then knelt on the ground. They laughed and cried, disregarding their image, and finally, they bowed 3 times towards the east to appease the spirits of their parents in heaven. Only after the 2 brothers had vented did Zhang Li land in the Bu residence. After Zhang Li recounted what happened with the women, Bu Jing quietly nodded and said he would handle it. Only then did Zhang Li realize that Bu Jing was the oldest person in the Ring universe, separated from the current generation by more than 10 generations. Just like the Eternal Sage. If the Eternal Sage did not mention the Red Dust Fairy, he also had a very stable demeanor that reassured people. We don't excel in the martial arts and can't guide you. You will have to navigate your future journey yourself. Also, we're not from this world. We won't stay here. Where the Ring universe will go, it's all up to you, Zhang Li said before leaving. Bu Jing and Bu Dong expressed their thanks to Zhang Li and the others. The favor that Zhang Li and the others had bestowed on the 2 brothers was greater than heaven, and could be described as a grace of regeneration. No amount of gratitude or praise would be excessive. Perfect your martial arts system as soon as possible. We can meet again then. Yes. The first thing Bu Jing declared upon his return to the Bu family was to change the family name from Bu to but, regaining its original name. The king of Qi, looking hundreds of miles away in the direction of the capital of Qi country, Bu Jing showed a hint of a chilling smile. Squaring off with the true history of the populace, spreading the secrets of old martial arts, the heavenly kings were the biggest obstacles, and the court of Qi country was the second largest obstacle. The history of Qi country should come to an end. Being the only external king at present, there was no one in the Ring universe who could compete with Bu Jing. Even if someone broke through to the external stage later, they would still not be his match. He alone could transform this nation, which would be more powerful than thousands of troops and horses. Even if the court assembles an army and the king of Qi lets the imperial experts protect him, they couldn't stop the inevitable conclusion of the king of Qi being captured and Qi country being destroyed. Unlike warfare between ordinary peoples, leading to numerous deaths and devastation, the involvement of external martial artists in wars could truly reduce casualties to a minimum. Bu Jing could directly bypass the army and many imperial guards to capture the king of Qi. Afterwards, Bu Jing announced to the world. The first 4 realms of martial arts can be considered as the internal stage, the 5th realm is the external stage, which is both a continuation of the original martial arts and a new beginning. Internal stage, external stage. Therefore, the name of our kingdom shall be the scenery. The new kingdom shall be called the Scenery Kingdom. Bu Dong will be the Scenery King. Search-the-AdaOVEL-Fire.net. The clan leader of the BU family, or rather, the clan leader of the BU family, was stunned for a long time after hearing this news. Only a month had passed. How is it that the BU family, which used to be a small family that couldn't see the light of day, had become a royal family? So I have become the clan leader of a royal family. The clan leader of the BU family thought about it, and it was said that important figures like to write memoirs in their old age. As a royal clan leader, he was somewhat of an important figure, so how should he write it when the time comes? On a certain year, month, and day, the family fund was short, and the other three major families in Buwu City squeezed out the BU family. 1 month later, the BU family became the royal family, ruling over the world. Seems like it's a bit brief. The clan leader of the BU family scratched his head. Zhongli first used the system to return to Kyushu, and then had the Brahma Tower establish a temporary channel to bring Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin back. Zhongli took out the fragments of the Ascension sky stairs he had just obtained, and put them together with the fragments stripped from Luo Yin's body. The two pieces of different shapes, completely not fitting together initially, merged directly. They became a larger piece of Ascension sky stairs fragment. This was unexpected to Zhongli. He thought he would have to find a way to fuse the fragments after gathering them all. He didn't expect the fragments could fuse on their own, without needing his intervention. So, there are two sources for the Ascension sky stairs fragments. One is directly given by the system, and the other is stripped from specific individuals, Zhongli summarized. Where did this Ascension sky stairs fragment come from? Bai Hongtu was surprised. How is it that you could get Ascension sky stairs fragments while we all do the same thing? Given by doing tasks. What task? A counterattack task. Bai Hongtu laughed twice. A counterattack mission, who would believe it? You, a revered Dacheng period cultivator, counterattack who? Chapter 193 to 192, Time Flow Rate, 1 to 10,000. Chapter 193, Chapter 192, Time Flow Rate, 1 to 10,000 SEAHTHENO circumflex EFIRE, Ada at. Immortal Elder, I have a question for you. Zhongli came with Yu Yin and Bai Hongtu, posing his question to Immortal Elder Chengkun. Immortal Elder Chengkun greeted them with a hearty laugh. You just came back from another world and seek me out. It must be no small issue. Fire away. Does the will of all beings at the brink of death generate something that frightens the heavenly demons? Immortal Elder Chengkun shook his head gently. I have never heard of such a thing. Quote. Have you obtained this information from the heavenly demons? No, I just heard a heavenly demon telling its underlings that at the moment of terror of life and death, one's will would become invincibly strong. Considering my experiences in 3 different worlds where the heavenly demons always refrained from making a direct move but instead killed indirectly, I suspect they are afraid of something. The steel left by the Tao ancestor also confirms this as it states, transforming oneself into a continent providing refuge for you all, so they dare not. Which steel? Yu Yin frowned. She had never heard of such a thing. Do you remember the Mingzhong world I've visited? Yu Yin nodded. She had read about it in the Heavenly Machine Gazette. The continent of the Mingzhong world was formed from the corpse of the Tao ancestor, who left a stele before his death containing a record of his end, albeit an incomplete one. This revelation hit Yu Yin like a bolt from the blue. The Tao ancestor, he is dead. Zhongli recounted the content from the stele to Yu Yin word by word, while Immortal Elder Chengkun explained the indifference of the immortal realm on the side. From this, it seems that the Tao ancestor failed, escaped from the immortal realm with a group of followers, encountered the heavenly demons on the way, fought inconclusively, and unfortunately perished. Before his death, he transformed his body into a continent to protect the people. Yu Yin reluctantly accepted this conclusion. The mention of the Tao ancestor rendered the atmosphere heavy and silent among those present. Zhongli sighed internally and continued. From this, we can see that the heavenly demons fear the will of all beings, especially the will of the dying. I could not understand it before, but after the King of Death's words, I realized that they might fear the birth or alteration of something from the will of all beings. Quote. That's very probable, Immortal Elder Chengkun affirmed Zhongli's point of view. However, even for someone as well informed as him, he didn't know what exactly lay within the collective will of the beings. They can't possibly experiment by killing everyone in the world. Why don't the heavenly demons harbor ill intents for us in JoJo and directly resort to sabotage? Bai Hongtu didn't understand. Other than the heavenly immortal level heavenly demon that caused mischief and fled, all the heavenly demons encountered by JoJo in the past 9,000 years had directly killed. There was no trace of conspiracy or indirect murders. Perhaps it's because JoJo is too strong. Immortal Elder Chengkun wasn't sure whether to feel happy or sad about the strength of Jojo. Heavenly demons are divided into Heavenly Immortal level and Earth Immortal level. The Earth Immortals lack wisdom and can only follow the commands of Heavenly Immortals, said Immortal Elder Chengkun, sharing information he had never revealed before. The rest is just my speculation and it may not necessarily be accurate. The Heavenly Immortal level demons might find it extremely difficult to obliterate Jojo using conspiracy. With so many transcending the tribulation stage in Jojo, some of them are formidable enough to contend with the immortal realm. So, they dispatched Earth Immortal level heavenly demons to Jojo, causing a massacre. It's inevitable for the cultivators of Jojo to resist, and in the process, Jojo would have lost its foundations, eventually becoming like other realms, scarce in powerhouses, thereby becoming an easy target for invasion and alteration. Look, when powerhouses become scarce, Heavenly Immortal level demons infiltrate Jojo, leaving traps at every corner, intending to gradually alter Jojo. If we hadn't drawn their attention, who knows what Jojo would end up looking like in a few thousand years. Zhongli agreed. Setting aside everything else, Jojo would indeed be in a precarious danger if the God-hidden cult were allowed to flourish. Judging by the 3 worlds that Zhongli has experienced, it's very likely that all worlds outside of Jojo have fallen into the Heavenly Demons' plot, in a state of chronic death. The Heavenly Demons won't quit after a setback, they will definitely launch a counterattack. Despite Jojo having a guardian array and Zhongli's protection, we still cannot afford to let down our guard, Immortal Elder Chengkun seriously instructed. 3. Zhongli was taken aback for a moment. He suddenly recalled that the Mingzhong world was not the first place he visited. Before that, there was a world of yellow sand and gray beasts. He didn't see anything of interest in that world and left after a brief visit. Zhongli named that world, the Gray World. That world gave Zhongli an uncomfortable feeling, causing him to dislike staying there. Looking back, the Gray World may have had a problem. What, you have been to a world with no people? Immortal Elder Chengkun was astounded. How is that possible? In the 10,000 realms, there doesn't exist a world without people. Let's go and take a look, Immortal Elder Chengkun said with seriousness. Zhongli commanded the Fanshan Tower to establish a temporary passage, transporting Immortal Elder Chengkun, Bai Hongtu, and Yu Yin. This is the place, Zhongli said, picking up a handful of sand. The uncomfortably familiar feeling that repulsed him returned. Indeed, there are no people. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin, who had never seen such a barren world, could only see sand and gray beasts. Besides, spiritual energy was severely scarce. The world had no trace of civilization. They also felt a sense of revulsion. How can there be no living beings on a continent? Immortal Elder Chengkun was puzzled. If this place were a planet, they could still explain that there might be beings residing on other planets, but the fact that this is a continent suggests that no living beings existed. Immortal Elder Chengkun inquired, what is the flow rate of time here? Zhongli suddenly remembered something. After he returned to Jojo from the Gray World, a statistical officer had contacted him with the remote communication talisman, saying they hadn't been able to reach him for a few days. However, he had only spent a very short time in the Gray World. Zhongli contacted Pure Heart Saintess to confirm the rate of time flow. In the end, he stated in a bitter voice, while 9,000 years have passed in Jojo, it has been 90,000 years here. Time flow ratio, 1 to 10,000. What can happen in 90 million years? If the heavenly demons had interfered, 90 million years would be more than enough for a civilization to decline and turn into a stretch of yellow desert. Immortal Elder Chengkun picked up one of the gray beasts, his lips trembling, and tears welling up in his eyes. You may not know this, but there is indeed a Tao in this world called the Tao of creation that can transform people into beasts. These gray beasts, they bear traces of the Tao of creation, albeit faint, it's indeed present. These gray beasts, all the gray beasts on this continent, their ancestors were humans. The 3 of them froze in shock using the phrase, human. They hadn't thought that there would exist a world with such a fast flow of time, nor had they expected that the rationality-defyingly twisted beasts which merely ate sand, showed no semblance of intellect, were human. 90 million years is such an incredibly long span of time. They were unable to ascertain what techniques the heavenly demons had used to bring humans to this ridiculous, pitiful, and tragic state, nor could they save them, or rather them. Zhongli stepped towards the sky, reaching the edge of the cosmos, tilted his head back and let out a long, mournful howl that triggered a rain of falling stars. He opened his arms wide and then brought them together with a brutal force that was outrageous by any standard, condensing the myriad stars into a mass of steel. Zhongli erected the steel at the edge of the continent, serving as a grave marker for the world. Everyone saluted the gravestone with a deep bow, expressing their mourning for the Grey World, a world they had never met, and now would never have a chance to. And then, the Grey World was devoid of stars. All that remained were a barren desert, a gravestone, an endless yellow sand, and countless grey beasts. Chapter 194 to 193, Humans and Fairies, Earth and Sky. Chapter 194. Chapter 193, Humans and Fairies, Earth and Sky. No one has ever counted how many planets there are in a world, but there are surely trillions of them. It is truly horrifying to imagine that Zhongli could make such a vast number of planets evaporate into thin air, refining them all into a tombstone as tall as the sky with just a clap of his hands. The density of the tombstone was also paradoxical. Logically, such a terrifying density would be enough to make space collapse into a black hole, but Zhongli forcefully incorporated the stars into the tombstone in an inexplicable manner. This was a move which exceeded the capabilities of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Only celestial beings of immortal level could achieve this, and moreover, only the immortals who had made great strides in the way of immortality. At least, Earth immortals could not accomplish this. Bai Hongtu realized that Zhongli had never used his full strength since breaking through to the Mahayana realm. Perhaps even when the immortal artifact went berserk and he decisively wielded the sky-desolate halberd to suppress it, that too was not his full strength. With the best cultivation status and the best weapons, but without the best opponent, Zhongli's heart must be lonely. Perhaps this is why Zhongli wants to go the immortal realm. Any world can't withstand all of Zhongli's cultivation. It's heard that after time reversed in the zombie world, people from other realms couldn't interfere there. Zhongli forcefully interfered, almost shattering the entire world. Once, Bai Hongtu asked the immortal elder if it was possible for him to do this. The immortal elder said that it was impossible at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Only immortals, including those like Mahayana, who were on par with the world's rank, could influence the world. Only the immortal realm, which is above countless worlds, could allow Zhongli to fight freely, becoming the Mahayana stage that is harder to achieve than immortality, theoretically on the same level as Earth immortals, but making heavenly demons of the heavenly immortal class fearful, making people unreachable. Bai Hongtu sighed in admiration. However, this was followed by doubts. This is what Bai Hongtu could never understand. Zhongli's strength exceeded the range that the 9 provinces world could nourish. Perhaps even if all the spiritual energy of the 9 provinces was given to Zhongli, it would only forge such a great cultivator of the immortal way. However, the spiritual energy of the 9 provinces has not diminished at all in these 500 years. Perhaps it was related to Zhongli's infinite Taoist body, Bai Hongtu guessed. The 4 returned to the 9 provinces, all in a gloomed mood, even immortal elder was taciturn. Zhongli has been to the Mingzhong world, the zombie world, and the Ring universe. Even knowing that there is a foreign heavenly demon behind these 3 worlds, they don't care much. As long as Zhongli is present, the schemes of the foreign heavenly demon will not succeed. But now, they all realize that the schemes of the foreign heavenly demon have indeed succeeded. The Grey World they just visited is a prime example. Even though they know nothing about the Grey World, when they learned that the ancestors of these grey beasts were the human race, they still felt a connection and shared in the sorrow of their fate. In retrospect, although the plots of the foreign heavenly demon in these 3 worlds had indeed not succeeded under Zhongli's intervention, the human race could only be considered as having narrowly won. The Mingzhong world was invaded by fierce beasts, and they had no idea how many people died under the claws of the beasts. Mingzhong and the others even had to develop technology to resist the beasts and were forced to give up their emotions. The outcome in the zombie world was even worse. Only Luo Ying's planet was spared. All the human races on the other dozens of planets were turned into zombies. Many people died in the Ring universe as well, so much so that people firmly believe in the fabricated history. The immortal realm is really heartless, watching the worlds under it suffer such calamities without being moved. Bai Hongtu burst into a rage. Zhongli, if you enter the immortal realm, must teach those arrogant bastards a lesson for me. Teach them on my behalf too. Yu Yin's voice was cold, but there was anger in it as well. Although they were not the human emperor, both of them had been candidates for it. The foremost criterion to becoming a candidate for the human emperor was a deep concern for the human race, otherwise the selection of the 9 provinces, Earth veins would be pointless. If it purely depended on strength, the cultivators of the 9 provinces could have directly fought it out in a contest to see who would be the human emperor. Although Bai Hongtu always laughs and jokes, and Yu Yin is decisive in his killing, both of them have a heart dedicated to the human race. They can't understand, nor can they comprehend the indifferent immortal realm that the immortal elder speaks of. Struggling for power, ruthless and indifferent, pursuing the heavenly Tao, pursuing longevity, what's the point of living like this? The immortal elder was silent, his eyes empty. After a long time, he sighed. Yeah, the immortal realm is such a world. Arch the Novelfire, Nat. Humans belong to the earth, immortals belong to the heavens. The earth immortals have the body, mind, and power of an immortal, but they still possess an earth character and are not truly indifferent. Heavenly immortals contain a heaven character. What is the meaning of the character, heaven? It refers to the heavenly Tao. A heavenly immortal is an immortal who tirelessly pursues the heavenly Tao. The immortal is not human. The immortal elder was full of sentiments, but all the three could hear was the indifferent immortal. The immortal elder's words were new to the trio. They only knew about the earth immortal and the heavenly immortal, but didn't know the implications behind the ranks. The immortal elder probably thought it would be a blow to their pursuit of the immortal path, which is why he refrained from telling. Today, having witnessed the destruction of a world and having felt influenced by this, he started talking about humans and immortals, earth and heaven. Zhongli, I'm partially saying all this for you. The immortal elder looked at Zhongli. Your talent and temperament are the best I've ever seen. Even among the immortals of the Zui realm, not many have reached the Mahayana stage before becoming immortals. Your Mahayana stage comprises of an existence as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Even if you don't become an immortal, there will be a place for you in the immortal realm. Although I don't recommend you going to the immortal realm, since you have managed to find fragments of the ladder to immortality, it proves that the trend is in your favor. You perhaps can go to the immortal realm. But remember, there are always those who are stronger, immortals beyond immortals. You mustn't presume that your hot-blooded courage is enough, that you can be a hero, righting wrongs in the immortal realm. Indifference is the mainstream in the immortal realm, the inevitable end of the immortal path. The end of the immortal path is the heavenly Tao. You alone cannot contend with the entire immortal realm. Zhongli unusually didn't say anything. When Zhongli was still in the golden core stage, the immortal elder had already met him. After spending 500 years together, how could the immortal elder not know what Zhongli's silence meant? Not speaking, because refusing to speak would make both sides lose face. Silence is the biggest rebuttal to oneself. The power of the immortal realm exceeds your imagination. Forget it, it's all up to you. You've grown up, you have your own judgment, I shouldn't try to forcibly change your mind. Halfway through his speech, the immortal elder saw the determined look on Zhongli's face, and gently shook his head. He changed his mind, no longer trying to dissuade Zhongli. Instead, he went to the ceiling self-cave behind Dao sect, and found solace in books. He couldn't persuade Zhongli. Under the dim light, flipping through the pages of an ancient book, the immortal elder was reading a book he used to enjoy, but he was preoccupied and he couldn't see a single word on the pages. What was on his mind was everything that happened today, which made him inexplicably agitated. The line between life and death, grand ambitions, things that the foreign heavenly demons fear, foreign heavenly demons, immortals, huh? Remembering Zhongli's stubborn expression again, the immortal elder sighed and said, Zhongli, why don't you listen to good advice, why would I harm you? Chapter 195 to 194, The New Leader of Alchemy Peak. Chapter 195, Chapter 194, The New Leader of Alchemy Peak. Zhongli, the sect master was just saying it casually, he didn't mean anything by it, Bai Hongtu consoled, noticing Zhongli's silence. Zhongli shook his head, I know that the human emperor meant well, I just felt there was more to his words. Task issued. You and several gold core period cultivators form a team, heading south to search for a secret treasure. Your teammate was unfortunately poisoned, leading to his body disintegrating. A gold core period cultivator who consumes this poison will have their body collapse and decompose within 3 days. Seeing this, the other team members felt helpless while the poisoned one felt desperate, believing there was no hope of survival. As the team leader, you need to take responsibility for saving your teammate. Fortunately, although the southern region has many poisonous species, it also has a plethora of herbs. Please find the heart-soothing grass. This task can be abandoned. SEARH the November ELF, IR.net. Task reward. A chance to receive baptism, 1 Chi watching technique, and 50 pieces of star silver stones. Note: this task can't be completed using the shop. Once again, the system released a task. As for these tasks that could be abandoned, Zhongli usually chose to give up because the system assumed he only reached the golden core stage and gave out rather uninspiring rewards. In the past, it had issued tasks such as apprenticing under an alchemist to learn alchemy, astonishing those who thought he couldn't perform alchemy. The task reward was an upgradable alchemy furnace. For example, it had also issued a task to attend a poetry conference in Wei country where Wei people mocked him, thinking that being from Great Zhou, he could only focus on cultivation theory and was clueless about poetry. The system had offered no reward for this task. However, according to the system's description, there was a beautiful and talented woman at the conference who was proficient in poetry and had many suitors. Her only standard for liking a man was that he must outdo her in poetry. Additionally, the system advised him not to give up on this task. Zhang Li had discovered the pattern. Tasks deemed, not recommended to abandon, by the system typically meant he'd gain a love interest. Such as when he'd previously assisted the White Marsh Emperor and won her favor. Or if he won the poetry competition and became the poem champion, he'd definitely win the favor of the talented woman. Incidentally, that day was Mid-Autumn Festival. Zhang Li was amused. If he engaged in the task and didn't recite Su Dongpo's tune of water melody, he'd behead himself and hang his head in the water. Given such an uninspiring task with unappealing rewards, Zhang Li would skip it rather than engage in it. What would be the point? Forget it. However, this time was different. The task reward piqued his interest. Qi watching technique. This was a technique lost in the 9 states. He first learned about it from the human emperor. Everyone's identity was different, their future was different, the aura above their head was different. Ordinary people had a thin layer of white mixed with gray. Desperate men who walked on the edge of a knife blade had a rich and dangerous aura of black with gold. The emperors of the 9 great empires had a spiraling aura of 5 colors with dragons and tigers. Zhang Li wasn't interested in the aura above the emperor's head. He wanted to see whether the world's aura was just like the book described, a wave-like forward motion and a spiral ascent. At first, Zhang Li wanted to buy medicine in the shop and complete the task instantly, but the system's note made him give up on the idea. But that's fine, it's not like the system is the only one with medicine. Their Dao sect, surely they have some. I'm off to Alchemy Peak, Zhang Li told them before turning to leave. Is Sect Master Su here? Upon arriving at Dan Refining Peak, Zhang Li didn't find Su Wei, he only saw the Red Crow Furnace and the child disciple cleaning it. Hey, you cannot call Su Sect Master anymore, said the Red Crow Furnace. In a boastful tone, upon seeing Zhang Li arrive, he admits that my alchemy skills surpass his, so he voluntarily stepped down and became the deputy sect master. Now, I'm the true master of the Alchemy Peak. Cleaning should be focused, don't just always clean the same spot. Be thorough, don't just clean this area, also clean the side. Yes, just there, comfortable, the Red Crow Furnace directed the child disciple to clean it properly. The child disciple looked despairing. What did he mean by focused and thorough? Where exactly did he want her to clean? Although the Red Crow Furnace didn't have a face, Zhang Li could hear its enjoyment from its voice. So, it's Sect Master Red now. My sincerest apologies, Zhang Li greeted with a cupped fist. If I may, what does Sect Master Red usually do? As the Sect Master, the highest-ranking tool of the Dao Sect's alchemy, of course, I have to concoct pills. Any disciple of the Dao Sect who is in need comes to find me to concoct pills, it replied. No wonder the Sect Master has such a difficult job. Out of 12 hours, 11 require pills concoction. This is a rare break time, it continued. Then what does Deputy Sect Master Su do? Zhang Li queried. The Red Crow Furnace scoffed. Him. He obviously has nothing to do. He can only conduct research on alchemy, striving to surpass me soon. Watching him act so free and easy every day is ridiculous, he doesn't look like a sect master at all. The child disciple spoke while cleaning. Precisely, as the master of Alchemy Peak, alchemy is of utmost importance. After you became the sect master, the disciples from Alchemy Peak showered you with praises, saying that you're a diligent worker and a praiseworthy sect master. Reacting to the child disciple's words, Red Crow Furnace lets out a hearty laugh, reigniting its fading furnace fire. Zhang Li understood. Su Wei had been pushing the grueling and tedious work to the Red Crow Furnace and rewarded it with the title of Sect Master, so he himself could hide away and research alchemy in peace. He wondered when Sect Master Red, the Red Crow Furnace, would realize this. Seeing the furnace's intelligence, he figured that might be a long time. Visitor Zhang Li, why have you come? Now that it had obtained the desired position of Sect Master, the Red Crow Furnace's whole demeanor had changed. It no longer shied away or seemed afraid of Zhang Li like before. I came to find a herb called the heart-soothing grass. Are there any in the stock of Alchemy Peak's herb storehouse? Responded Zhang Li. Heart-soothing grass. The Red Crow Furnace pondered a while before deciding to ask the child disciple, do we have the heart-soothing grass? The child disciple rolled her eyes. You must have forgotten that you were starving a few days ago. I told you that you'd no longer feel hungry if you slept, so you slept. Unexpectedly, you ended up sleepwalking after only half an hour and ate blindly in the herb storehouse. I couldn't stop you. When you woke up, you asked me whether the herb storehouse had relocated to Alchemy Peak because the herbs loved you profoundly, therefore they came by themselves. I said it's not because the herbs loved you profoundly but because you love the herbs profoundly, so much so you consume them, even in your sleep. Oh, I remember now. The Red Crow Furnace had been so focused on alchemy recently that it had forgotten this incident. The child disciple pulled out a roll of paper from her pocket. The paper was densely inscribed with the names of thousands of herbs. This lists all the herbs you ate up. The vacancies in our herb storehouse need to be resupplied soon. I remember seeing the name, heart-soothing grass, on the list. The child disciple meticulously searched through the list until she found the name, heart-soothing grass. Indeed, it has been eaten up by you. Turning to Zhongli, Red Crow Furnace admitted, it's been eaten up by me. Chapter 196 to 195, Universal Detoxification Pill. Chapter 196. Chapter 195, Universal Detoxification Pill. Sun Essence Fire, Red Flame Stone, Golden Crow Velvet, Moonlight Sanching Water, Star Destiny Sky Stone. After the Red Crow Furnace finished speaking, these words suddenly appeared in my mind. As random as these words seemed, they all shared a common characteristic, the November EL Fire, NET. They were the raw materials for crafting the Red Crow Furnace. The Red Crow Furnace shuddered at the thought of it becoming raw materials. Maybe I'm hallucinating because I've been practicing alchemy excessively. It shook its furnace cover, the only way it knew to express self-doubt. Is there any heart-soothing grass nearby? The boy had a troubled expression. To answer the human emperor, the primary use of heart-soothing grass is as an antidote for decomposing poison. However, since your suggestion to release a universal detoxification pill, normal poisons can be neutralized by the detoxification pill. Discussing decomposing poison might seem frightening, but it's effective for practitioners only below the golden core stage. It's a general poison and doesn't exceed the medicinal effect range of the detoxification pill. Also, heart-soothing grass grows in the southern border, and it's hard to preserve after being uprooted. It needs to be soaked in rootless water, which can be quite expensive. Almost no one needs heart-soothing grass now, and even the major business groups don't stock it. It's just us in Alchemy Peak, who thought about developing other uses for heart-soothing grass, that we have it stored in our herb storage, and as you heard, the Peak Master ate all we had. If you're looking for heart-soothing grass, maybe the herb sect has some stored. If they don't, then it's just in the southern border. Having heard the boy mention the universal detoxification pill, it suddenly dawned on Zhongli that indeed there was such a thing. Back when Zhongli was only at the golden core stage, he was sneakily poisoned by an enemy. Fortunately, he overcame extreme adversity, broke his limit, shattered his core to form a nascent soul, and dissolved the poison crisis. Ever since then, Zhongli has paid a lot of attention to poisons. He thought that he had luckily broken through and hadn't died during his quest for immortality due to his exceptional talent, but how many talented cultivators had died from poisoning before and after him? This was a great pity. Poison cultivators and GU cultivators were comparable, both could easily slip into the demonic path. However, Zhongli couldn't hinder the study of poisons just because it easily became demonic. Poison cultivators could use themselves to test poisons and eventually cultivate the 10,000 poisons body without harming anyone else. So after Zhongli became the human emperor, he used the funds of the imperial palace to hire both Alchemy Peak and the herb sect to research a pill that could neutralize all kinds of poisons. These funds were sourced from the spirit stones submitted by all the major empires and sects to the imperial palace to maintain its operation, cultivation of its members, peace in the 9 states, and so on. Saying it could deal with all kinds of poisons was an exaggeration, as it was only effective for those below the golden core stage. As for nascent soul stage poison that could permeate the soul, there wasn't a single pill that could neutralize all kinds, it could only be treated symptomatically. At last, Alchemy Peak lived up to the expectation and researched the universal detoxification pill, which could neutralize all poisons below the golden core stage, but was expensive. As expected, the herb sect researched the 100-use detoxification pill, which could neutralize most poisons below the golden core stage, and was more affordable. These actions irritated many malicious poison cultivators who vented their anger for an afternoon. They began by discussing assassinating Zhongli, then discussing escape routes, and finally discussing the price of the corpse-driving sect buying corpses and managed to calm down. Konghu, are you near the southern border? Zhongli called to the chief of the imperial palace. Zhang Konghu, who was deep within the North Sea training his body, was not using his cultivation base, and even dissolved his 3-in-1 state, using his physical body to withstand the pressure of the deep sea and find a chance to break through to the transcendence tribulation stage. The North Sea Dragon King was learning humbly, trying to find inspiration from Zhang Konggu's body cultivation method and perfect the Zhongli human emperor strength. Southern border. I've just returned from visiting my relatives in the southern border, said Zhang Konggu. Brother Zhang, do you want me to return to the southern border again? Never mind. Zhang Konggu had just come from the southern border to the North Sea. It wasn't necessary to make him hustle back like a dog chasing its tail. Only then did Zhang Li recall that Zhang Konggu's hometown was in the southern border. The three specialty products of southern border, Gu, poison, and shamanism. Ma Zhou, both of you Imperial Guard leaders, are you near the southern border? Ma Zhou lowered his voice and said to Zhang Li, Brother Zhang, what's the matter? My spouse and I are attending a lecture at the Union sect. Zhang Li faintly heard a lecture from Ma Zhou's side. Today we will learn 2 idioms, hit the nail on the head, old trees spread roots. Zhang Li decisively hung up the remote communication talisman. Wood Imperial Guard leader, are you currently in the southern border? Zhang Li looked at the scenery on Wood's side, somewhat surprised, as he didn't expect such a coincidence. The lush forest was filled with poisonous creatures and spiritual herbs. The freedom amidst all the sounds of nature was precisely the biggest feature of the southern border. Of course, Zhang Li recognized that Wood was in the southern border for another reason. Wood was eating southern border specialty food, white-cut chicken, in the forest. Yes, I'm in the southern border. Wood laid down his chopsticks. There's a task for you. Go find white-cut chicken, heart-soothing grass in the southern border. Notify me once you find it. Task accepted. Wood took up the task. Seeing that there was an Imperial Guard chief available at last, Zhang Li felt slightly relieved. He closed the remote communication talisman. It would be easy to find heart-soothing grass as long as body integration realm cultivator was dispatched. WNATJ Lang LL Clean T No was TNAT Arter Wo Ana Ania TNE Call, Ne Snootia to his companion not far away. Qin Luan, where did you disappear to during dinner and why did you bring back a girl? Qin Luan replied, I just heard from the locals that there seems to be a secret realm left by Gu Immortal nearby. The local you're talking about is this girl? Yes, I just saved her from danger in the jungle. She said she's the daughter of a hidden Gu clan's grand priest. But the Gu clan hid too deeply, and she only ran out to play but forgot how to get back. Qin Luan introduced the southern border girl with brown skin next to him. She said her father being a Gu clan's grand priest, he should be in the Gu Immortal's secret realm right now. We can find her father there, and he will surely reward us generously. The young girl was scantily dressed, loads of skin exposed. It was less than what a demon clan member would wear, full of youthful vitality. There were white patterns on her abdomen, arms, and thighs, which added a sense of allure. Wood had heard from Zhang Konggu, this was a pattern unique to the Gu clan. The southern border girl greeted Wood enthusiastically. Wood nodded in response. If you want to go, let us go together. Wood didn't care. Heart-soothing grass was everywhere in the southern border, they could encounter it while helping the Gu clan's young girl find her father. After disconnecting from remote communication talisman, Zhang Li had an uneasy feeling. He sensed that Wood might not complete the mission and may not find the heart-soothing grass. That shouldn't be the case. How could accidents occur to a cultivator at the peak of the body integration realm in the 9 states? I haven't been to the herb sect for a long time. Well, I'll just go take a trip. Zhang Li still felt uneasy, so he left Alchemy Peak, preparing to search for heart-soothing grass at the herb sect himself. Chapter 197 to 196, Spiritual Treasure Transformation interrupted midway. Chapter 197, Chapter 196, Spiritual Treasure Transformation interrupted midway. In the gloomy basement, barrels of green water emitting an ominous aura gave off an unsettling feeling. A few shadowy figures entered the basement, their faces lighting up with grim smiles at the sight of the barrels. There was hardly any light here, so when the figures smiled, their faces were obscured except for their starkly white teeth. He, these are the fruits of our month-long labor. If successful, it will definitely revolutionize the 9 provinces. The leading figure laughed. Who put out the light? We, the Lingbao sect, can surely afford to light a candle. Light it up. I just thought the darkness added the right ambiance. A Lingbao sect elder scratched his head, conjuring up numerous sparks to illuminate the basement. With the light, the true situation in the basement was unveiled. Hundreds of wooden barrels were neatly lined up, the green water within them pulsating with a rich life force. Consuming a single mouthful could equal a decade's worth of intensive cultivation for a junior cultivator. The green water was steeped with various spiritual treasures. The sect master of the Lingbao sect, accompanied by several elders, meticulously recorded the conditions of the green water in each barrel. This barrel's potion bath is ineffective. The spiritual treasure shows no sign of transformation. The potion bath in this barrel is also useless. The spiritual treasure is unresponsive. There's some change in this bath. The spiritual treasure seems to. An elder lowered his voice, it's grown hair. The sect master of the Lingbao sect glared at the elder, silencing him. After examining the conditions of all the spiritual treasures, the group felt disappointed. A month's worth of experiments had shown no signs of progress, none of the spiritual treasures had undergone any changes. Except for the one that had grown hair. Don't lose heart. The transformation of a spiritual treasure can be equated to the spirit of the treasure coming into being, a major event that isn't bound to be smooth sailing. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal, as the foremost treasure of the 9 provinces, and an immortal artifact left behind by Tao ancestor, we can't possibly achieve its greatness in just a month. It would be strange if we could. We must believe that hard work will pay off. As long as we persist, make bold assumptions, and verify carefully, success will belong to us. The sect master of the Lingbao sect cheered on his elders. Recall again, what is the tenet of our Lingbao sect? Overthrow the alchemy peak. The elders replied with vigor. Right, that's to overthrow the alchemy peak. The sect master of the Lingbao Seahthe Novelfire net. Sect was satisfied with the elders' response. The potion bath for spiritual treasure transformation is our first step to surpass the alchemy peak. And it's a crucial step. It's time to let the alchemy peak know who truly has the upper hand in the path of alchemy. Sect master, on a side note, why do we have to conduct experiments in secret? Isn't it better to openly research the transformation laws of beasts, plants, transformation tribulations, and apply these experiences to transforming the spiritual treasure potions? These piecemeal experiments seem inefficient. Ignorant. Zhang, the human emperor, is on the side of the Tao sect. You can tell by his frequent dealings with the Tao sect that he definitely supports the alchemy peak. If he knows we potentially can surpass the alchemy peak, wouldn't he take action? The sect master of the Lingbao sect elucidated his reasons to everyone. In fact, the real reason was that he had heard from the White Marsh Emperor that Zhongli had been troubled for a while by the essence of the spiritual treasure. If Zhongli knew someone was bold enough to attempt to transform spiritual treasures, he would undoubtedly give the Lingbao sect a hard time. The Lingbao sect could only expedite their research on the transformation potion, cook the raw rice into porridge, and leave Zhang, the human emperor, in a position to merely restrict and not prohibit their actions. After all, this was not demonic cultivation and there was no reason for prohibition. However, this couldn't be openly discussed, as it might dishearten the elders. The authority of the human emperor was not to be trifled with in the 9 provinces. If the elders knew that the transformation of the spiritual treasure could disrupt the order of the 9 provinces and cause distress to the emperor, they might stop exploring the possibility of spiritual treasure transformation with him. Is Sect Master Huang present? A formidable voice echoed throughout the Lingbao sect, sending chills down the sect master's spine. Why has Zhang, the human emperor, come? Damn it. No, calm down. From the tone of the human emperor, it doesn't seem like he's here to reprimand. He probably has not discovered this place yet. With this thought, Sect Master Huang Chengdan gathered some confidence, quickly left the basement, and went to greet Zhang Li. Respected human emperor, it is an honor to have you here. I apologize for not greeting you earlier. Sect Master Huang, you are too polite. I came here to request a herb. We don't have any transformation herb here. Huang Chengdan promptly denied. I didn't mention the transformation herb. A slip of the tongue, a slip of the tongue. What herb did you ask for? The quenching heart herb. It's the antidote for the dissolution scatter. We don't concoct potion baths. Huang Chengdan continued to deny. I didn't mention potion baths. Realizing that he was overly nervous, Huang Chengdan explained, I have recently been experiencing a backlash from excessive cultivation, and my mind is often not clear. I hope the human emperor can understand. Does it matter? Should I find a doctor? Oh, you are the doctors. It's a minor issue. I'll be fine after a while. Huang Chengdan changed the subject. You wanted the quenching heart herb, right? We have it here. Huang Chengdan led Zhang Li to the herb storehouse, which held tens of thousands of types of herbs. It would overwhelm anyone who wasn't well versed in plants, herbs, and vegetation. Although Zhang Li was not adept at alchemy, he remembered the appearance of all the herbs in the 9 provinces easily. To him, everything in the storehouse was well organized and not at all chaotic. How many do you need? Just one will suffice. Huang Chengdan took out a quenching heart herb from the pool of rootless water and handed it to Zhang Li. Congratulations, host, for completing the task. After receiving the herb, Zhang Li did not leave immediately, but looked at the quenching heart herb and asked thoughtfully, Sect Master Huang, you are a great authority in alchemy, and there's something that puzzles me. I came here to seek guidance. I'm all ears. I was just wondering, it is said that alchemy is a process of extracting the essence from plants and herbs while discarding the dross. The pills produced in this way are naturally the most spiritual objects in the universe. It's said that the inspiration for the great Tao of Golden Core in ancient times originated from this. That's the idea. Huang Chengdan, who was delighted to hear Zhang Li praising pills, was a man with deep-seated affection for alchemy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have aimed to surpass the alchemy peak and become the sect master of the Lingbao sect. Since pills are the most spiritual, it's not impossible for them to develop spiritual intelligence and transform into human forms. As Zhang Li spoke, he continued walking out. I wonder, if a pill were to transform into a human form, identical to an ordinary person, how would Sect Master Huang treat that pill? Could you still conduct alchemy in peace, or consume the pill, and what would your relationship with the pill be? Has Sect Master Huang ever considered these questions? Huang Chengdan was stunned. The things Zhang Li spoke of sounded like fairy tales. The idea of a pill transforming into a human form had never crossed Huang Chengdan's mind. How could that be possible? If it really did transform, Huang Chengdan followed along with this train of thought, only to realize that he had no clue how to proceed. This raised too many ethical issues, and he couldn't figure it out. Considering Sect Master Huang has found it difficult, there's no need to put me in a tight spot either. Zhang Li laughed as he slapped Huang Chengdan's shoulder. Ha ha ha, I just thought of this on the spot and was making casual conversation. Sect Master Huang, don't worry about it. How could Huang Chengdan not know that the human emperor was implying? If you realize that the transformation of a pill can cause numerous problems, you should also understand that the transformation of the spiritual treasure can bring about the same. You will not trouble me, and I will not embarrass you. We will maintain a peaceful facade, which is beneficial for all. After Zhang Li left, Huang Chengdan took the initiative to cease the spiritual treasure transformation potion bath project, and destroyed all experimental data. Chapter 198 to 197, Learning the Art of Qi Vision. Chapter 198. Chapter 197, Learning the Art of Qi Vision. The Spirit Medicine sect has never produced a tribulation-crossing cultivator, yet it is a long-standing alchemy sect with a history close to 10,000 years. Though their intention was to broaden their competition range, increase their influence, and surpass alchemy peak, that was why they launched inexpensive elixirs that could be easily purchased by low-level cultivators. But it cannot be denied that these cheap elixirs have indeed made a significant contribution to the 9 provinces. Even Zhang Li often bought elixirs produced by the Spirit Medicine sect before he reached the Golden Core stage. Therefore, Zhang Li just nudged a little bit. He had no intention to punish. Zhang Li believed that the sect master of the Spirit Medicine sect was a smart person and knew what he meant. Lingbao transformation, that's indeed a bold thought. Zhang Li was stunned, thinking that the thought process of the cultivators of the 9 provinces was really impressive. Apart from the Spirit Medicine sect wanting to transform the spirit treasure, Zhang Li had also seen the beast taming technique in the human philosophy of the beast master, cultivators who were willing to become spirit treasure slaves, a certain Zhou emperor who used his double pupil to see the answers to cope with the exam during the academy period, and the custom spring dream service of the 1000 Ancient Dreams sect. Fortunately, although cultivators of the 9 provinces dare to think and act, there are not many who could cause disturbances in the 9 provinces. Otherwise, Zhang Li would really be busy out of his mind. Do you want to accept the mission reward? Accept. Please receive the baptism of dewdrops. A pure energy appeared from an unknown place and wanted to influx into Zhang Li's body. Zhang Li of course refused. Zhang Li could not perceive the existence form of the system, so he could not shake it off, and he could also not judge whether it was good or evil, what its purpose was, so Zhang Li only used the absolutely harmless functions of the system. He would not let something he could not understand enter his body, even though this force seemed normal to him. It probably allows Golden Core stage cultivators to step up a notch, from the early stage to the middle stage, or from the middle stage to the late stage. Zhang Li sensed the size of this force for a moment. A cyan energy twined around Zhang Li's index finger, forming a liquid ring, and Zhang Li blew it gently, and it disappeared without a trace. Zhang Li had more energy when he yawned than this little force. Please receive 50 pieces of star silver stone. A small pile of silver stones with starlight appeared in front of Zhang Li. Zhongli recognized this thing. It was a great material that allowed the spirit treasure to extract a trace of the power of the stars. If a golden core stage cultivator could possess a spirit treasure of this kind, their combat power would definitely skyrocket. Correspondingly, star silver stone is ridiculously expensive and is not something a golden core stage cultivator can afford. Zhongli naturally didn't need this kind of thing, not to mention that the sky desolate halberd didn't need the power of the stars. Even if it did, couldn't Zhongli directly refine the stars? Why bother to use the power of the stars bit by bit? Zhongli put the star silver stone into the storage ring, adding a new member to the series of useless things given by the system in the ring. Please receive one copy of Aura Perception Technique. Here it comes. Zhongli was pleased. Wasn't the purpose of his mission to obtain the Aura Perception Technique? This Aura Perception Technique is what I have learned and realized in my lifetime, concerning the principles of heaven and earth, and the mystery of life. This technique is bitter and difficult to understand, and it takes more than 10 years of patience to make small achievements. If anyone is destined to get this book, I hope they will be calm and still, perceive the aura with their heart, and uncover the mysteries of heaven and earth that they have never seen before. Zhongli read the content on the first page of the Aura Perception Technique. Looking at the description, could it be that the author of this book was self-taught, or even possibly the founder of the Aura Perception Technique? Zhongli showed a respectful expression. SEARCh He flipped through this ancient book and mastered this minor trick of the Aura Perception Technique in just 3 minutes. Aura Perception Technique. Zhongli closed his eyes tightly and suddenly opened them. He indeed saw the aura. The nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, etc. in the air were all in sight. This is oxygen, this is nitrogen, this is hydrogen. The content of oxygen in the air is 21%, the content of nitrogen is 78%. What kind of bullshit aura perception technique? Zhongli's respect for the author completely disappeared. I thank you for letting me review my middle school chemistry knowledge, Zhongli said sincerely, gritting his teeth. He dared to assert that the author of this book definitely did not reach the body integration realm. For cultivators who have reached the body integration realm, as long as they use a micro amount of mana, their eyes can be more sensitive than a microscope, and they do not need this aura perception technique. Among the body integration realm cultivators, the components of the air are not a secret, just that no one has studied them. After all, to deplete the air, change the oxygen content in these small tricks are useless to body integration realm cultivators, and could only deal with cultivators below the divinity transformation stage. Zhongli pondered for a while, then found a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters, set up heavy traps, and placed the aura perception technique at the end of the traps, waiting for the destined person to take away this book. Zhongli thought that if someone was lucky enough to break through the traps and get the legendary aura perception technique, they must be overjoyed, studying day and night. He was looking forward to the expression when the destined person mastered the aura perception technique. Of course, Zhongli also has a conscience, he wouldn't let this unlucky destined person waste their time in vain. Zhongli got inspiration from the aura perception technique. It took him a whole 10 minutes to write out a cultivation technique that could be practiced to the body integration realm, controlling breath art. Cultivators who practice the controlling breath art can adjust the air content, density, and composition, disassemble the gas into atoms that are smaller than molecules, reassemble it, and even change the body composition of other cultivators, and this could barely be considered a body integration realm technique. This was a function that Zhongli had racked his brains to come up with to match the aura perception technique. Otherwise, for a mere body integration realm technique, he wouldn't need 10 minutes, Zhongli could write it out in 3 minutes. The prerequisite for practicing the controlling breath art is to practice the aura perception technique. Zhongli put the aura perception technique and the controlling breath art together, and left satisfied. Wood Captain, you don't need to find the heart-calming grass anymore. Zhongli contacted the Wood Captain. Who would have thought that the Wood Captain on the other end of the communication talisman saw Zhongli like seeing a lifesaver and rushed towards Zhongli's phantom. Nothing was hit. Brother Zhong, help, I'm getting married. Zhongli was silent for a moment and said, I have no experience with that, I'll ask the Willow Captain later about how much money the human emperor needs to give for attending a subordinate's wedding. No, Brother Zhong, I was forced. The Wood Captain quickly said. Zhongli thought to himself, I knew you were being forced when I heard you crying for help, but what does it have to do with me? It's good to get married, someone can look after you, it's a relief, and you don't have to pretend to be a low-level cultivator all the time and go on adventures with them. Wait a minute, why would he think that the Wood Captain could give him peace of mind just because he got married? The only couple among the captains of the Imperial Palace, Ma Zhou couple did not give him any peace of mind at all. Brother Mu, how can you contact human Emperor Zhang? A familiar head appeared at the other end of the communication talisman. It was Qin Luan. Don't be disrespectful, this is Captain Wood of the Imperial Palace. Yuan Wuxing scolded Qin Luan on the side. Originally, Yuan Wuxing didn't know Wood Captain's identity, and only thought he was a genius golden core stage cultivator, but when he took out the communication talisman and contacted Zhang Li, Yuan Wuxing immediately guessed Wood Captain's identity. You guys, what a coincidence, long time no see. Zhang Li greeted Qin Luan and others. The people on the other side were all familiar faces: Qin Luan, Yuan Wuxing, Song Ying, and the furry, warm little fox. Chapter 199 to 198, Love Gu. Chapter 199, Chapter 198, Love Gu. Zhang, the human emperor. It's a relief to be able to contact you. Please come and save Qin Luan. Song Ying also pleaded with Zhang Li for help. Qin Luan is about to get married too. Zhang Li noticed a beautiful young girl from Nanzhong with her dark skin curled up next to Qin Luan. Qin Luan's arm was buried in her ample bosom, and a little fox was baring its teeth on Qin Luan's shoulder. Yuan Wuxing was perplexed by the turn of events. However, seeing Qin Luan in this state bolstered Yuan Wuxing's confidence. With Qin Luan's blooming romantic luck, he must be stalled in his practice, but Yuan Wuxing seized the opportunity to cultivate himself, making it impossible for Qin Luan to ever catch up. Young apprentice, enjoy your romantic luck. As for the position of the human emperor, it's the master's burden to bear. Are the two of you marrying the same person? Zhang Li had experienced the wild customs of the southern borderlands with Zhang Konggu, who was the epitome of these customs. They could eat, fight, and didn't care for details. Unexpectedly, the Gu clan, despite being a recluse, was not unaffected by these robust customs either. Brother Zhang, this is Qin Luan's fiancée, the daughter of the Gu clan's grand priest. The wood leader explained, feeling that he had caused his own troubles. And you, my fiancée is the daughter of the Gu clan's leader, the former grand priest. I have not met her yet. Emperor. A middle-aged strange man, who didn't look like he was from Zhongzhou, greeted Zhang Li with a bruised face. I am a Buro, the Gu clan's grand priest. I have met Zhang Konggu, the leader of your esteemed hall. So, it's Grand Priest Aburo. It's an honor. You've heard of me? Aburo was surprised. He was just a small nascent soul. Where did Zhang Li hear of him? I'm just being polite. Oh, Grand Priest Aburo, please tell us what happened. Under normal circumstances, I was performing customary sacrifices for the immortal Gu and praying for blessings. Unexpectedly, several strangers and my daughter broke into the secret realm. I thought someone had kidnapped my daughter for the treasures in the Gu immortal's secret realm, so I fought back. Fortunately, Brother Yuan Wuxing is a reasonable man. After a friendly discussion, the misunderstanding was resolved. Zhang Li saw that Aburo's right cheek was a little swollen than his left, and he was missing a front tooth. He could barely talk without whistling. Is this the result of a friendly discussion? My daughter was bored of living in seclusion and deceptively sneaked out of the Gu clan. She was deceived, met villains, but luckily, young Qin came to her rescue. Quote. However, it was the first time my daughter left the Gu clan, and she forgot the way back. She had no choice but to ask for the help of young Qin and the others. We came to the Gu immortal's secret realm to find me. To show my gratitude for the rescue and their help in bringing her home, I let them join the trial in the Gu immortal's secret realm. Any treasures obtained from the secret realm are my gifts to them. Who would have thought that two of them were too strong, one being young Qin, the other being the leader from your esteemed hall. Of course, I didn't know that he was wood leader of your hall at that time. Both of them passed the final round and received the best reward, implanting the romance bugs, becoming our Gu clan's son-in-laws. The Grand Priest held back, saying that if he knew he was the body integration realm leader, he wouldn't have let him participate in the trial. Is this considered a reward? Zhang Li was surprised. The Grand Priest awkwardly explained. 10,000 years ago, the stairway to heaven was still intact, and the Gu clan was a major family. The Gu immortal considered marrying into the Gu clan as the best reward for the trial participants. Who knew the Gu clan would become what it is now? The decline of the Gu clan in recent years, only having nascent soul at their disposal, let alone being robbed of the control heart bug by Zanai Taoist nun, losing their treasured artifact. The reward for the secret realm was determined by the Gu immortal, and we cannot change it. Is there a deadline for the romance bug to get married? The marriage and consummation must take place within 10 days, otherwise, they will explode and die. After becoming husband and wife, the man must not have strange thoughts about other women. Otherwise, they will also explode and die. We are currently on our way back to the Gu clan, the Grand Priest answered. Alright, let me think of a solution. Zhongli agreed, starting to consider the matter of changing leaders. Finding out that there were still 10 days left, Zhongli wasn't worried. He could arrange for the wood leader to get married. He could give a decent gift, and let everyone in the imperial palace go to the Gu clan for the wedding feast. What could possibly happen? Zhongli believed that many people in the imperial palace would be happy to celebrate for the wood leader. Leader Lu, do you know how many? Oh no, it's too early to ask. Do you know about the Gu clan's romance bug? Because he had just had a disagreement with Changkun Immortal, Zhongli felt it would be too insensitive to ask Changkun Immortal as if nothing happened. So, Zhongli chose to ask Lu Leader, the second oldest in the 9 realms. Romance bug, I've heard of it. Lu Leader recalled, the Gu clan had been in seclusion for a long time and he had not encountered the Gu worm for a long time. He needed to think. If I remember correctly, Gu girls cultivated it to bind their lovers' hearts, fearing that their lovers would betray them. Do you know how to remove it? Lu Leader, surprised, looked Zhongli up and down and asked, Emperor, are you affected by the romance bug? No, a friend of mine is. Zhongli tried to save some face for the wood leader, so that he wouldn't lose face in front of Lu Leader. I see. Lu Leader laughed. The way to break the romance bug is the same as other Gu techniques, let the caster break it. The Gu Immortal is the supreme being in the immortal realm, this method was impossible. However, for you, Emperor, there is an additional method, the Heart Sword. But it can't only sever one, it must kill the Gu bugs of both the man and woman. If only one is killed, the couple would explode due to the Gu technique's residue of the romance bug. This is intense. But such an explosion should have no effect on you, Emperor. I've told you, it's not me, it's my friend, Zhongli objected. I see. Lu Leader still thought he understood. Zhongli disconnected the communication charm, seeming to think that this matter was not too difficult. It's a pity he thought that if the Heart Sword was ineffective against Gu bug, he could be innocent, attend his subordinate's wedding conspicuously bright. Thousands of years ago, there was an empire in 9 states called the Witch Country. The Witch clan was the majority and encompassed southern frontier, covering a vast area. Unfortunately, infighting took place within the Witch Country and resulted in a division into the Great Witch Country and Little Witch Country, losing the status of an empire and only regarded as 2 large nations. However, despite the loss of the status of an empire, the deep-rooted influence was still present. Both Great and Little Witch countries were considered amongst the strongest, holding prestigious positions. The Gu clan hid inside the Great Witch Country. Southern frontier's weather is always full of miasma, flies and mosquitoes are in abundance, and there is dampness everywhere. It's not a place for those with weak constitutions to reside. Zhongli had traveled to the southern frontier when he was at the nascent soul stage and was very familiar with the local conditions and customs there. His most profound memory was of roast geese, ducks and white-cut chicken. Zhongli didn't need to ask the Grand Priest for the whereabouts of the hidden Gu clan, his divine sense would tell him the answer. This should be the Gu clan's hidden place. Zhang quickly found the illusion technique shrouding several mountains. The illusion technique had no effect on Zhongli. He could easily traverse through layers of mist, seeing the Gu clan thriving within the illusion. SEARH The novel Fire. Ada at Chapter 200 to 199. Oh, let's get married then. Chapter 200. Chapter 199. Oh, let's get married then. The climate in Southland is warm and cloth is expensive, so it's understandable that the people of Southland dress more daringly than those from other regions. We cannot impose our opinions on others, this would be an act of robbery. The local environments raise its inhabitants, the clothing of Southland folks has regional characteristics, we cannot, nor is it possible to unify the clothing of all 9 provinces, we need to learn to respect each other. The above is a summary of the failure of the Confucian plan to increase the coverage of Southlanders' clothing. Of course, failure summary is an internal term in Confucianism, what they proclaim to the outside world is a research summary. Emperor Zhongli's first reaction upon seeing the Gu clan was the Confucianism's failure summary. The men of the Gu clan bare their upper bodies, displaying their strong physiques. The women cover only the essential parts with very little cloth, exuding an unusual charm. Brother Zhang, you're finally here. The physical presence of Zhongli felt more substantial than his image in the communication symbol, thought the wooden leader. The Gu clan, upon hearing that the human emperor had arrived, came out to welcome him en masse. Even though the Gu clan hides from the world and knows very little about the outside, they not knowing about spiritual treasures, Liberty Council of 9 provinces, or relations with other realms, they do know that the present Emperor Zhongli is the strongest of all human emperors and the only one in the Mahayana realm after the stairway to immortality ceased to exist. Your Majesty Zhongli, Yuan Wuxing bows with his disciples. Our paths seem to cross often. Zhongli finds it amusing upon seeing Yuan Wuxing and his disciples. Emperor Zhongli, please save Qin Luan. The GU immortal has been meddling witn playing mats and maker Anna Nas Rorsa Luan Anna Aguna to marry. Song Ying anxiously pleaded, look, neither of them is happy about this. Aguna is the daughter of the high priest. Zhongli couldn't tell whether Qin Luan was pleased or not, but from the way Aguna was still clinging to Qin Luan, it seemed she was quite satisfied with the pairing. Zhongli, oblivious as he might be, would not think that Aguna was afflicted by a disease, which caused her to stumble and had to lean on Qin Luan for support. After all, Zhongli had scanned her with his divine sense and confirmed that she was healthy, free from any diseases. Otherwise, it was hard to pinpoint any explanation. Sister Song, you mustn't speak ill of the GU immortal. She is still in the immortal realm. What if she senses your words? Upon hearing Song Ying accusing the GU immortal of meddling with their matchmaking, Aguna panicked. Whether the immortals have some sixth sense or due to the GU immortal's position in the GU clan, such words were inappropriate. Song Ying realized that she had been careless with her words and quickly zipped her mouth. As a mere golden core stage cultivator, she was in no position to discuss the immortals. No harm done, it's all based on hearsay, Zhongli reassured Song Ying, who was looking quite nervous, with a smile. If discussing the immortals could elicit a response from them, I would have long started discussing the rulers of the immortal realm. Zhongli had tried all possible methods to ascend to immortality. The possibility of the immortals sensing discussions about them might have been true when the stairway to immortality was still functional. But now that the stairway was broken and no contact remained between the 9 provinces and the immortal realm, the immortals wouldn't sense anyone cursing them in the 9 provinces. Even though the wooden leader was the first to greet him, Zhongli chose to ignore him for a while and continued chatting with Qin Luan. What about you, Qin Luan? Express your thoughts. Do you like Aguna? Do you want to get rid of the GU worm? Song Ying, Little White Fox, and Aguna were all surprised by the bluntness of the human emperor's question and anxiously awaited Qin Luan's response. Qin Luan smiled bitterly. Mr. Zhong, I've only known Aguna for a few hours. If I fell in love with her in such a short time, what does that say about me as a person? Song Ying and the Little White Fox breathed a sigh of relief, while Aguna looked somewhat disappointed. Honestly speaking, Aguna is attractive and charming, and I do have some positive feelings towards her. But these feelings are not strong enough to warrant marriage. The GU immortal demands us to marry in 10 days. How could we possibly develop the feelings for a marriage in such a short time? I don't believe in what the GU immortal did. I believe Aguna feels the same. Qin Luan turned to Aguna and seriously said, I don't know much about love, but I do know that being forced to bed someone will not lead to true love. Only companionship over a long period of time, developing feelings as time goes, can result in the most reliable kind of love, right? Aguna nodded in a daze. And if the GU tribe is reclusive and I marry into it, I would never be able to leave here my entire life. Wouldn't that be a betrayal of your expectations of? So, you agree to kill the bug? Agreed. Quote, Aguna, how about you? Search the. As a member of the GU tribe, I cannot defy the wishes of the GU immortal. I ask the human emperor to decide for me. Zhongli nodded, indicating understanding. Aguna's meaning was very clear, she wanted him to kill the bug. If Aguna didn't agree, she wouldn't have said that she couldn't disobey the GU immortal's intentions. Zhongli drew his sword, waved it lightly, and the love bug lying on Qin Luan and Aguna's heart was cut off by the heart sword, which was activated by intense and ultimately returned to the heart. Even in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, the bugs left by the GU immortal were considered troublesome, but in Zhongli's eyes, they were nothing. Without the love bug, Aguna felt empty, as if she had lost her only connection with Qin Luan. At that moment, she noticed a figure standing in front of her, blocking the sunlight. Aguna, you have good talent, but the GU tribe's seclusion is limiting you. If you are willing, you can leave the GU tribe and experience the vast landscapes of the 9 states. However, you lack experience in the Zhonghu world and are not suitable to travel alone. Fortunately, Qin Luan and the others have some experience, and you can travel the 9 states with them, Zhongli said. Upon hearing this, Aguna's eyes lit up and she immediately replied, I am willing. Song Ying and the Little White Fox immediately become alert. They had thought that Emperor Zhongli was on their side, they didn't expect this turn of events. Yuan Wuxing nodded. Aguna joining the team would inhibit his good disciple's cultivation speed. It turned out Emperor Zhang was on my side after all. The high priest came over, hesitating. Emperor Zhang Li, this. What, you want to watch your daughter get trapped here and be satisfied when she reaches the nascent soul stage? The current Aguna is in the early golden core stage, and is the best among her peers in the GU tribe. Being able to reach the golden core stage at this age, her future achievements will certainly not be ordinary. However, the GU tribe is reclusive, lacking external exchanges and resources. If Aguna is made to never leave the GU tribe, then the nascent soul stage would be the limit. The high priest sighed. All right then. The GU tribe wants to emerge from seclusion anyway. You'll be the first tribe member to do so. Actually, we also feel that the GU tribe can't just avoid things. At the beginning, we decided to hide because we were afraid that the GU technique would decline, so we chose to hide in order to preserve the last soil of the GU technique. Quote. Now we feel that we were wrong. This isn't working. With cut-off information, rigid thinking, and scarce resources, the GU tribe is in worse condition now than when we first secluded ourselves. If we continue like this, the nascent soul stage will disappear and the golden core stage will be the strongest in the GU tribe. By that time, it'll be too late, the high priest said. The secluded GU tribe sounds a bit like a hidden clan, as if it were some kind of powerful organization, but in fact, the situation of the GU tribe is precarious. So, I discussed it with the clan leader and thought we should let the GU tribe emerge. Coincidentally, you came by, so we wanted to hear your opinion. Isn't the clan leader of the GU tribe the fiancé of the wood leader? Exactly. Oh, then get married. If a combined peak cultivator marries into the GU tribe, it can ensure your smooth emergence in the world, Zhang Li sincerely suggested. With one less trouble in the imperial palace, the GU tribe gets an opportunity to emerge in the world. Both sides have nothing to lose and both gain benefits. This is a win-win situation. The wood leader. Where did the imperial palace get a wood leader?